I'm going for hit the button. Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's what's up. It's that thing. I don't even know what today's episode is about.
I don't know. We're going to talk about things and stuff and trailers and little things here and there. Video games.
Shoot. Didn't get the yawns all out. Okay.
Oh, God, it's a fucking avalanche of lambs. I'm going to retweet that.
What does that even mean?
Well, if you go see the what I just retweeted, you'll understand.
All right. Well, now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and remind everybody this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Igo Comics, Blacklist OG, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Nestor Flores, Rogue Robin, Shiny P, Soda Sono for 2 for every day near 75. And if you like we do want to see more, you should consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. Thank you for your support, everybody.
Thank you. And for the extra.
Oh yeah, that's a lot louder this time. That's definitely staying in. Yeah. The pour on Let's Talk FGO was a little subtle, so I don't know if it stayed in the final edit.
I don't know.
Damn, why am I suddenly super sleepy just when we start recording? I was fine moments ago when I was making notes and stuff. Anyway, hi, it's What's Up. Welcome to the What's Up of things and games and stuff.
And games.
Things and games. Because on the one hand, the thing you might be thinking we're talking about would be Persona 5R, but I don't actually know.
No, I haven't opened mine yet.
Yeah, so you haven't started yours, and hey, if you want to see as far as I've gotten, watch the stream, and I think I'm about 5 minutes past that, because I haven't had any time to play it since then.
Well, let's see. Me, if you're one of the people who actually watched me streaming Sekiro, thank you. Again, I apologize for the fact that it has vanished into the void. That is the abyss of YouTube. I don't know why. I don't know how. But
yeah, I don't actually know what that is. I don't know why YouTube doesn't... It's got to be something on the end of the software you're using on your end, because there's absolutely no reason for YouTube to just go, oop, guess I forgot it.
No. So, yeah, but I said I hadn't really played much after that. I guess I can talk a little bit about Sekiro.
If you want to. That was a large chunk of last episode.
Yeah, well, it's not going to take as long this time. The last stream, though, even if it didn't stay up, was a bit more popular. We got a lot more people, and actually a couple people who actually seemed to really enjoy in Sekiro and beat it. And actually, they helped me with some lovely hints to get through things. They didn't full out tell me how to beat things, but I remember I was having trouble with a master swordsman who could literally who was like a master of was it Aijutsu? You know, just
quick
draw and stuff. Yep. So he would literally draw, hit you twice, and then back up and resheath the sword. And that was hard. And then someone, I can't remember who it was. I'm sorry, but someone told me watch the hilt, and I did. I just noticed anytime he's about to draw, it would just flash quickly. And I'm like, oh, hit the button.
Yeah. And subtle cues.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's impossible to look up who it was because since the video is gone, there's no more chat archive either. Otherwise, YouTube does, in fact, keep all your chat comments in an archive.
Yeah.
So you should watch out for that.
And again, I was doing my thing where I was complaining about a lot of things, and I think I feel like people, after they watched me play, understood my gripes a bit more. Because after the episode release, we had a patron who...
Well, we had a couple of people. Got on you about the commentary about...
Yeah.
For one, it really, because there were a couple of people who did this. I don't want to just sound like we're calling out one person. You definitely did it if you know who you are, but there were other people who... I feel like it's the Great Soulsborne curse. There were a lot of people who just assumed, oh, you just didn't know what you were getting into. This wasn't the type of game you wanted. And I'm just like, okay, hold on. Not that Lucky needs me to defend him, but having spoken with him on this subject for like an hour, I believe what he's getting at was that the game did not necessarily pitch itself as what it was, what it actually is. And so there's a lot of assuming that everybody knew that the game is going to be all the parts that it is and not the parts that it advertises is in the intro.
Yeah.
But I feel like that... I don't know, it's weird. There's definitely a certain defensiveness to the Soulsborne type community who like these games where it's like, you just don't understand it. It's not just hard, it's hard, it's good. Again, not to necessarily throw anybody specific under the bus, but there really feels like there's a certain amount of defensiveness for you to justify why you like this hard thing. Besides just admitting that you're a masochist. Somebody gave me the face when they remembered I said that last time. So now it's a joke, so I'm going to keep saying it.
But like I said, people who played Inside, I was pointing out things like Actually, I think I found out one of my errors. That might not figure out for all of them, but like when trying to do my jumping, because there's lock-on issues for some odd reason. I can't figure out why. If it's like my settings or range or whatever. But I noticed that when I was trying to do my jumping takedowns, occasionally, like, my walk-on target would just move away from the one I was aiming at, and that's why I wouldn't proc necessarily. But again, that's still one of those things of, like I said, I like Sekiro. I do. Like, I was actually able to put in, 7 hours?
You played a lot. And you got started early, too, which is why I don't... You've been getting started earlier on the stream, which is why Omega doesn't come hang out, because he's... Well, first of all, also, we're doing... I literally only have 2 days or 2 afternoons free right now.
Oh, you're busy.
Well, yeah, you say that. Part of it's because of yous, mister. I'm unemployed now. And theoretically, I could say I can't do Wednesday because I need to do stuff, and I may need to actually do that this week. I don't know. But, so, not to derail too much for Sekiro, but since I brought up very quickly, Friday we record Let's Talk FGO. Saturday, today, we're recording What's Up. Sundays, we usually game. Mm-hmm. Monday, I'm free. Tuesday, I stream, which is usually later in the evening, so I usually have the afternoon stuff before, but still, that's basically my evening. Wednesday, I'm free. Thursday, Lucky streams, and when you did them later, I like to come hang out, but when you get started while I'm still, like, getting up and getting my shit sorted out for the day, it's just like, okay, I can't get distracted right now. And then, that's Thursday, so it's Friday again. Mm-hmm. And usually I try to tuck in video recordings in the afternoons before the evenings, but yeah, so, Sekiro, Lucky.
Uh-huh. But I feel like I made some good progress. I took out some mid bosses. Fought a bunch of Nightjar ninjas. What was it? I think I fought 2 mini bosses, and I went to a main boss because I fought the sword. No, I fought 3 mini bosses. That's right, because I fought a samurai, a master swordsman, and this weird centipede. Crawly, knife throwy dude? I don't know.
Ow, Japan is the thing about centipedes. I don't know where it's from.
Yeah. But I was able to get 3 of them, and I said, I'm like, and a lot of people were telling me, it's like, because I was constantly berating myself. It's like, God, I suck at this game. And people are like, actually, the grand scheme of things, you do not suck at this game. And then, which made me feel a little bit better, but they kept telling me, good run, you almost had him. And that immediately made me want to flare up. It's all like, it's only a good run if you actually succeed. Otherwise, you just...
Well, I mean, yeah, that's your mentality. I think that really shows what the mentality of the dyed-in-the-wool Soulsborne players is. Mm-hmm. They truly, because we've talked about this, there are a lot of those games that are truly iterative, where you are literally doing it over and over again until you find that perfect try. So to them, it's not about the victory, it's about the struggle, basically. Like,
yes.
You go through the process over and over again until you get it right, which we've both talked about is not 100% what we're about. Like, I'm not adverse to doing tries and getting quote-unquote good runs in, but at a certain point, I am overcome by the grind, and I'm like, I need to do something different in my life than just this.
Yeah. And, like, the thing that, like, again, made me must have said this, because I got to the top of the castle, which I've been trying to get to, because apparently I just went off in a completely other direction that I wasn't supposed to, and was getting close to a boss that I wasn't even supposed to be able to fight, and people are like, why can't you fight the boss? Did you climb the top of the castle? I was like, no, I got suicide bombed by a fucking ninja, and that made me want to go, just made me nope off. And you gotta get to...
Funny how that works, how the game discouraged you from going to a place, and that turned out to be the place you're supposed to go.
Yeah. But so I went back, I did bitchin' rooftop battles with ninjas, made it to the top, and I had this really hard boss fight. With Genichiro, badass bow dude. And we were there for a couple hours before I want to say like an hour maybe before I could beat him. And so this is me doing a lot of runs. Like, I had the shortcut down, I could just run up there, get back into it. A lot of, just repetitive actions, and I got good. I got good enough to beat him. And I finally beat him. I was like, yes, I can finally move on. And guess what? He has another phase. And this is the thing I think that pisses me off. If you lose to the second phase, you have to go back to the first phase and do that all over again.
Nope, I know how that works.
Like,
I think there's a couple of bosses in Bloodborne I faced that are like that, where if you beat them the first bit, they transform and you have to start all over.
Yeah, so I'm just like, But here's the interesting thing I noticed. After I beat him the first time, I actually started beating him almost regularly. Like, I want to say I probably, like, threw myself at him, like, between 20 to 30 times before I beat him once. After I had beaten him, I don't know if something clicked with me, but I started beating him, like, 2 out of 3 times. Like, to get to the second stage. I just kept losing at the second stage. So I'm just like, okay, so I can beat the guy normally now, but now I have to beat my head against the wall immediately after that again. I'm just all like... At that point, I was getting a headache. I don't know if it was just from life or the game, but
it probably was tension.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's a lovely guide somewhere on the internet that's like how to tell what type of headache you've got. But I don't think I'm gonna make you remember what type of headache you had on Thursday on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna guess it was probably stress and sitting related. Were you drinking enough water?
Probably not.
That happens.
Yeah.
That's probably part of why, even though I drink a decent amount of water while we do these, that's probably why sometimes I'm so tired after doing this. It's because when you talk a lot, you're drying yourself out.
Mm-hmm. Expelling moisture. But, like I said, so I had to put Sekiro down at that point because, like I said, Sekiro is not a game you can necessarily go grind for better stats. You can't. There is experience you can go gather, and there are skills that I would like to get that might make it easier. But I don't know if people want to see me running around, ganking mobs and yelling as I jump from cliffs and shit. They might. I don't know.
Okay. Audience, let us know. You never let us know, but we ask you to let us know.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to try and guilt them into letting us know more things.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I said, it's going to be the 9th, and probably I'll stream next. And week after that, I don't know, I'll probably throw up a poll for Final Fantasy VII, because it should be here by then.
Yeah, so if you're done talking about Sekiro, we can mention that.
Yeah.
We have both gotten the email now, which is Amazon is like, okay, you're probably not getting it until the 14th. I'm just like, okay. I don't know how Lucky feels about it, but that's my general thought is the okay level. Like, I don't know. There are some people I actually got a little salty with community member Camper earlier today. Because he has unfortunately been at that point where he is complaining a little bit about the release for several days in a row, which that's another one of those Omega triggers, is if you keep doing something over and over again, Omega's like, okay, I fucking got it. I heard you the first time. That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, not to blame Camper, but I've been hearing this from multiple angles. There are a lot of people who are upset or completely flabbergasted that somehow they can't get their toys in this ongoing global pandemic crisis. Gee,
yes.
Who could have guessed?
I would like one of my symptoms to be fluorescence. Thank you.
That would be pretty baller.
It would be pretty baller.
But yeah, so we kind of moved past it, but I may have put him a little on blast because it was just like, listen, everything's real fucked up. I'm not going to complain that some people get the game early, or that digital is unlocking. Yeah, they could do different uniform distribution, and supposedly that's what they're doing in Australia. They're doing something early. I don't know what the fuck it is, whether it's the digital or stores are selling the physical, technically breaking the street date. I will say, like, obviously you can download the game now. You can start downloading the updates before it actually unlocks. But that's because it's like 100 gigs and the internet's super fucked right now, I think. Mm-hmm. Like, they're doing you a favor by being like, okay, let's try and slowly roll out the download so not everybody's trying to get this all at once, because it probably won't work.
The internet will die!
And I'll also say that, like, I know I specifically ordered the special Steelbook Deluxe on a coupon, but I still order the special edition. So I'm like, yeah, I'm sad. I'm not mad that it's coming late, right?
I'm not like it's a 4-day delay.
It's a very slight delay so far, and it's presumably because of what Amazon is saying they're doing, which is they're trying to prioritize getting deliveries out of shit like food, toilet paper, medicine, essentials for people who can't fucking go out and shop. So I accept that this is the thing that's happening, and I'm like, whatever, gives me more time to play P5R. Doesn't play P5R at all, damn me. Honestly, I'm shocked they got that one to me on time from my local distribution center, even though I ordered it like 2 weeks ago. Like, it didn't leave until like the night before, and then arrived early that afternoon. Because I have a distribution center in Central Florida. It's in the same county as Tampa, and it's a pretty big one. I think this is a lucky ghosted GIF. Okay. So was that a ghost GIF, or was that just a general GIF?
That was the okay GIF, as shit is blowing up around you, and you're just like, okay.
But so I basically relayed my story of getting P5R on time and delays for 7, so if you have any thoughts on those, go ahead.
Like, as I said, like, I've been waiting for this game for over a year. Like, I literally put in my pre-order June of last year, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And I'm like, 4 days ain't gonna kill me. It really isn't.
No, not when there's stuff like Last of Us 2 is delayed indefinitely. Yep.
I think Cyberpunk got pushed all the way back to fall.
Already. And we don't know, there may be pushed further. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So, like, 4 days, like I've said, like, no, I'm good. I'm alright with it. Fuck it. Like I said, as long as it
exists, and unlike people on the digital downloads, my copy is physical, so barring any, like, patch, day one patch updates, which there probably will be because they are distributing it early to people, that means that there will probably be some bug fixes that are not rolled out. But I will have a physical disco in hand that I can slap in my machine, and it runs.
And like I said, Lucky's working on this video game collection, and so having physical copies is good. Actually, one of the things I ran out for today is one of my friends said he just gave me a bunch of his old games, and I was all like, "Get it." So
you're breaking the self-quarantine to go get video games? That's not essential, or is it?
Well, no, like the guy, it's my roommate. It's at the old house because he basically, it's the house I used to live at. But, okay, so I'm going to post these pictures for Patreons.
Yeah, by the way, I should let everybody know, I'm just joshing him. I understand that you're not actually, Florida just signed the executive order or whatever, and it's very vague about what counts. Because recreational activities are still good, even though beaches are closed, just keep it under 10 people. So, it's the whole, some places are definitely a little more strict about this whole shelter-in-place thing than others. It's a little funny.
Okay, so, but this is, like, if you patrons look, this was my PS1 and PS2 collection before, load up, god damn it, before, I went and got this. So I have, Final Fantasy Tactics, Parasite Eve 2, and America Solid, and the only PS2 game I had was Dragon Quest 8. Then I went to my friend, and I was like, load me up on some games, motherfucker. And, he delivered. Now I got all that. And I'm like, yas. So, in there now, I got the Final Fantasy compilation that has 6 and Chrono Trigger, 7 through 9, Wild Arms 2, something else. I can't remember what it is off the top of my fucking head. Maybe that was it. Yeah, shrug. And a bunch of PS2 games. I was actually most psyched to see that he had Xenosaga 1 and 2 because I had an itch for those games for a while. But I'm like, yes, the collection grows. As I said, I'm trying to fill up these shelves so I can be like, yes, I am totally a cultured nerd.
Big nerd culture.
Big nerd culture.
I have taken pictures of my shelves and shown them before. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, but as I said, like, I used to have a lot of PS2 and PS3 games, but I lost and Xbox 360 games actually. But one of the houses I lived in burnt down in a fire, and they all went with it. So I was like, well. And since then, my connection has been a little slow because just with being unemployed, it's kind of hard to buy games. But that's been changing, and so now, I get to flex a little bit. That makes me happy. Like, I know a lot of people are always like, oh, just get digital. You get it so much quicker, and you don't have to worry about cases. I'm like, I like cases, though.
Yeah, I know. Some people are like, ooh, digital's the future. And yeah, it is, but at the same time, it's not, because I feel like there will still be something to be said for physical token sales, right? Like, I bet we're going to wrap around. Like, we're going to go digital, and then 5 years into they're going to say we're stopping CDs, and then 5 years after we go digital, it'd be like, so, we're reintroducing portable storage versions of games so you can move them easily. And it'd just be like, this is just discs again, isn't it? Like, Nintendo's already putting all their stuff on almost literal, SD-sized cards, right? Like, that's what eventually we're going to get, is just that having them in a portable storage format is so much easier and more trackable than digital. So that's, yeah, I feel, because there's still some appeal there, and the reason why I mostly buy physical is just because, I mean, I don't necessarily care about the cases, like, I like seeing them lined up, but also I'm not averse to it. It's just that it's just usually so much easier to get your shit on time, no to worry about your fucking downloads. You know, like, hey, my internet went out for a couple hours in the middle of the night a couple nights ago. What if that happened and it was like at like 12:30 to like 2 a.m., right? What if that happened while I was trying to download a new game or whatever? Then I'd be fucked.
Be fucked.
What I did instead was I started reading. I read a couple chapters of the first Codex of Starties again. But I haven't gotten back to it, so I don't know if I can say I'm reading those books again per se. I just happened to do that while I had literal no internet. And then the other thing is just Amazon doesn't like there to be physical stock, so they will mark the shit down and to get rid of it. Even if it's like Amazon is in such a weird place where their demand necessarily doesn't meet the same demand and supply of the audience, so they'll mark shit down just to get rid of it, even if it's something super popular and in demand, you know? Which usually means you can get good deals, or Amazon does coupons or whatever, right? Like, okay, digital stores do sales, but how often does something go on sale before it comes out, right? For digitally. Like, maybe you get a pre-order deal, but almost never do you get a markdown before something comes out, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Amazon, I got my order on Final Fantasy VII and my order on P5R with a discount. Both of those were discounted several tens of dollars. Because Amazon was like, hey, here's a bargain on that pre-order. We need to get this shit out of here. Please buy it. And I was like, yes, delicious steelbook.
Yeah, Lucky got
also, the dynamic theme is pretty cool.
I haven't actually looked at it yet, because I haven't even opened it yet. Lucky got an additional $20 off of P5R because I had an Audible promotion. I was like, here, just take another $20.
That's the greatest shit.
I was like, yeah!
I love when Amazon hands you a promo that you forget about, and then you're like, oh, this is even cheaper than I thought.
Yeah, no, I literally got day one P5R like $30. I'm just all like, this is good life. But like, as much as I love physical case games, like I'm not averse to digital sales, because right now on the PlayStation Network, they have their spring sale. And
check what even's going on. I spent a lot of money in the past couple months, so I've been a little dodgy, but I should check it out.
Well, something that I picked up, honestly, because I looked at it and I was like, I kind of want this, was Greedfall. You heard of it?
Nope.
So Greedfall is by a studio named Spiders. Apparently, their previous games didn't have a lot of success. So when I looked into Greedfall, I was a little about it, but I looked at it and I realized it's literally Assassin's Creed meets Dragon Age in the Age of Discovery. I'm just all like, damn it. Because I've had an RPG itch, and unfortunately, like, here's the thing about Persona 5R. I want it, I'm gonna play it, but here's the thing, I've already beaten Persona 5. Right. And to get to all the newest content, I have to go through the game with all its lovely quality of life.
Right. And I'll say, by the way, I'll say this too about the game. I've put I put a solid 3 hours in. I'm not even to the actual game yet. There's about 5 minutes of added content so far. There is an extra scene in the opening and an extra scene in the in media res opening, and then in the actual getting started to introduce you to the new character, kind of. But other than that, it's still the same opening to P5, and it is not any faster. I forgot how much tutorial there was in this game. Probably because when I played it my multiple playthroughs, I just literally skipped all that shit, because I'm like, I don't need to learn how to do stuff again, game. But yeah, so basically you're saying you've beaten P5 already, and I'm telling you as a person who has played actually fired up the intro, it's not that different. You're probably going to be at least 5 hours before you get to some new shit, if not 10, you know? So, yeah, you wanted to scratch your RPG itch.
Yep, so I went and picked up Greedfall, and it's... I don't know which Dragon Age I'd say it's most like. As I said, I'm not good with, comparison, but it's definitely some Dragon Age feelings of, you are this important person, and you're going to go around solving everyone's problems while using a variety of abilities. So, how do I want to explain Greedfall? Let's see here. So, basically you start off, there's, 3, aspects. There's might, technical, and, magic. And, technicals, you have things like science and lockpicking, and magic, you have, intuition, stuff. All these little, nifty things, so you can, you can be talking to someone, and if you see like an intuition icon, you can hit that, and you just have some fucking insight on the problem that you can just be like, boom, I solved this. Or you can just do a straight up charisma, which is hilarious because in the game, you are the cousin to the governor of a new island, and you have been named the legate, which in this game means that you are the motherfucking top brass diplomat. Watch the fuck out. Which means that most of your charisma checks, especially when you're in cities, is I'm the motherfucking legate, get out of my way. I'm just like, that's amazing. I want to wield my authority like a fist. But, most problems have way to get through them without combat. Like, you can blow up walls to get things, you can sneak by things, you can bribe people, you can drug people. There's been at least 3 missions where one of the options is, hey, if you just want to mix some fucking, sleeping potion into their alcohol, they'll just pass the fuck out. I'm like, this is a very, very valid option. I wish more games would let me do this.
By the way, if it seems like Omega's being extra quiet, he's really trying not to interrupt Lucky overall with looking at this sale. Because I will say, what I'm learning is, boy, this sale will be really great if I owned a PSVR.
Yeah, that's one of those things I keep thinking I should buy, but I look at my it's not tiny, but my cramped room, I'm like, I don't want to be swinging around in here. There's some games I definitely want to try on VR, like Beat Saber. I really want to try Beat Saber.
Yeah,
but I want to have a cute anime avatar, though.
Oh, damn, VR chat, you'd want to be a cute anime avatar? Of course you would.
Either that, or I have to be a giant hentai orc. One of the two.
Would you be the little the pop out alarm lolly?
Nah. No, actually, the more I think about it, I'd be giant hentai orc who screams about the good old days of Night Princess dojins. Yeah, that'd be great. I can make a persona around that. Just speaking third person, call myself Grok.
How much do they want for Killzone Shadowfall? I never played
but I said Greedfall
$6 for Killzone Shadowfall. I don't remember anybody ever saying this game was good, but that is a low price.
You get what you pay for.
I might have to think about that one.
But yeah, no, the sale's pretty damn good. Like Greedfall, standard retail price was $49.99. It was $25 off. I'm like,
oh shit, Vampire's in here.
Yeah, no, it's a good sale.
They still want $15 for Vampire. I suppose that is a significant. See, this is the thing. I bet if I went on Amazon, I could find Vampire not on sale for at least as much as it's on sale for.
Well, actually, let's find out. I will go to Amazon right now. Whoosh!
Because it's $15 right now. Now, normally digitally, it's $60. It's a full price game because that is the unfortunate thing about digital is that outside of sales, games almost never depreciate in price.
Let's see here. Hold up, what's that wallpaper? It's the fucking banned image of the Oh wait, no. Yeah, one of them's the banned image from Azure Lane. The other one was one of the other ones from that same event.
Yeah, you got wall hangings.
No, I think he's talking about my computer image.
Oh, your computer wallpaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you can actually. There's a site that actually tracks all of the Azure Lane wallpapers and loading screens and stuff, and you can save them. But Greedfall, it's that's what it is. It's an action RPG. Basically, you have a basic attack, a heavy attack. You have a dodge button, a parry button. But you can do a tactical pause, so you can rifle through your items or select spells.
Hey, audience, let me tell you something, because I don't need it, because I already have these games multiple times. But Zone of the Ender's second runner, Mars, is available for $10 in the sale on PS4. You should pick that out. Zone of the Enders is cool.
Zone of the Enders is those games that I want actual physical copies of those, so that's why I'm holding off on that.
That's fair. I have those originally on PS2, including with my copy of Second Runner comes with or is it the first Zone of the Enders? It's whichever one comes with the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo disc. I have that because that was bundled, and I have the HD re-release on PS3.
Actually, and one of the PS2 games I got was Metal Gear Solid 2. Actually,
nice. So
now I have Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2. Yeah. But it's fun. Honestly, it's just that Dragon Age experience. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna pick up a bunch of quests. I'm gonna run around, fight bears, solve everyone's problem. Even though I'm supposed to be someone fucking important, I can't delegate worth a shit. And I'm gonna have a good time. And as I said, it's scratching that itch. I've put I only picked it up yesterday, and I think I've put 6 hours into it already.
Anthem is on sale at $18 if somebody didn't get it yet. Oh, poor Anthem.
Oh,
They're supposedly completely remaking that game, but we'll see. They haven't talked about that in a while.
But...
See, I know I can get Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition cheaper than $24 on this sale physically.
Oh, hang on, let me hear. Because I was looking at Vampire. That's right.
Vampire.
Let's go with PS4 since that is your choice. That is. It is. By the way, it is 1997 physically.
What did I say it was before? 15?
Yeah, something like that.
I will double check for it. Technically, that is a bargain. I do want to play that game. I don't know if I feel like buying it right now.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so check this. So the Amazon version of it is, the Amazon's Choice version is 1997. There's another version I think is probably like other sailors are $34.99.
Oh well, then this $14.99 is definitely a deal. How long does this sale go on for? Would you mind telling me, Mr. PlayStation?
Hey, Mr. PlayStation, tell me, Mr. PlayStation.
Nah, it doesn't say how long. I'll have to look that up because I might want to pick that one up. Not even if I'm not going to play it. I'm $15 is apparently a thing.
I don't know. They're telling me about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. I'm all like, give me some information on that fucker.
Not right now, not yet, but soon. Because I'm definitely interested in that because it looks good.
Yep. First Blood edition. Oh my. Anyway, so Greedfall, I like it. It's scratching my RPG itch. It's not scratching my JRPG itch, but I just gotta wait for 10 days and that'll be done.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, video game wise, I talked about the new stuff I got. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII is coming out soon. I might pick up Sakura Wars. I'm not sure.
Well, so here's the funny thing. It seems like the anime, which is coming out and is being licensed outside of it, is set to be a sequel of sorts to the game, which is not out yet in Western markets. It won't be coming out until the end of this month.
I think it's already out in
it presumably is already out in Japan, but
yeah,
we determined that it was slightly visual novel styled, right?
Yeah.
So that probably means shitloads of text and dialogue they need to translate. It's why, for instance, like, the reason why P5R probably came out okay in the West is because the game had already been out and done. It was released in Japan, in October last year. It's just they had so much text to translate and so many voice lines to record that they needed to delay it for international, because holy fuck, that's a lot of text. If you cared about Dark Souls 3 is like $15 in this sale.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm that into trying out Dark Souls to pay $15 for it, though. Maybe if a friend had, like, Dark Souls 3 and was like, yo, you want to try it? I might be like, why not?
Oh,
Yakuza 6, if you're caught up on Yakuza, is $15. That's probably a pretty good deal.
I still need to get Kiwami, too.
The sale is apparently Doom-themed, though, because you can buy the classic Dooms for, like, super cheap. And can you buy regular Doom? I think I saw it in here somewhere.
Yeah, you should be able to buy Doom 2, and Doom 3.
Well, no, the old ones for sure, but did I see Remake Doom in here also?
Actually, I don't know. No, I think about
I think so. Is this this is a PlayStation Hits Doom. What's the actual price? Ooh, damn, $7.99 for PlayStation for the remake of Doom, which I still haven't played. I might need to buy that one for sure. I might need to do that.
Did Baki Season 2 actually come out on Netflix yet? Son of a bitch.
I don't know, man. I haven't, like I said, I've been so busy I haven't hardly watched anything. Because you mentioned Sakura Wars, so we started mentioning that anime. Like, I have watched, like, one episode of Stardust Crusaders since we last talked. I have not fully caught up with My Hero. I finished the school festival, but I haven't caught up the 2 new episodes. The 2 newer ones for whatever's next, which is a shame, because apparently a character appears for the first time in the anime, and people are arting excessively. What's the better abbreviation of that anime? Hamefura, that's right. I have not watched the first episode of that yet, even though we're both excited about that. Mm-hmm. I believe you also said you hadn't watched the first one yet, right?
No, not yet.
Yeah. But you did get started on some of your anime. Do you have any other video game stuff to talk about, or do you want to talk about anime for a second?
We can talk about anime.
While Omega checks his bank account. Not that I really should buy another new game when I have P5R sitting on my machine right now, but it's a really good deal. Oh, they haven't taken the actual Patreon money, hasn't.
What happened?
Patreon money hasn't left, but also that's because my bank is apparently the they're doing maintenance or something, so some of the onlining stuff isn't online right now. Okay, I will wait then, because I don't want to do anything while my bank is being weird. I think the sale goes on until the end of this month, so you've got a little bit of time. I will definitely have to make sure to put a pin in Doom, though. But yeah, anime.
Yeah, so I fucking started... Like, first thing I watched was Kakushigoto, and I liked that. It was funny. Basically, the premise is a single dad living with his daughter is trying to keep his job as a ecchi manga artist away from his daughter because he doesn't want his daughter to hate him for having a weird job. And it's just the shenanigans. And the thing I like most about it is I can never remember his fucking name, even though he's like one of my favorite VAs. The voice actor for Shinji and Fate. Oh yeah, Hiroshi Kamiya. He plays the dad, and it was one of those moments where I looked at the character design and I'm all like, if it's not played by him, I'm gonna riot, because he's very unique in his voice and delivery. He plays the straight man really, really well, but he could also be the bokeh. And so he's always great for those roles. Like, you don't get to see a lot of it with Shinji, because Shinji's just full on a fucking heel the entire goddamn time. But with Araragi Koyomi, you can see it a lot, and it makes me happy. So I'm honestly just gonna keep watching it just so I can hear him yelling and being hysterical. The only other thing, that's like the only thing I got to watch, because as I said, I've been like powering through Greedfall and playing Magacha games. And what I started when I got back, I was like, hey, Mega, I'm ready to go. And he's like, all right, I gotta do something. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna watch something then. So I started Gal and Dinosaur, and I have no idea what this fucking is, and it's amazing. Literally, the whole premise of the anime is Bwong. And the premise of the story is that a gal, just finds a dinosaur, brings it home, and they start living together. And that's it. It's just them doing that stuff. And the funny thing is it uses different medias. Like, first they have like a really cheap animation. Like, it's pretty basic, but it's endearing in its own way. But they also have claymation, and now the part I'm looking at looks like it's a guy. It's reality with a guy in a suit. I'm just like, what is this? This is amazing. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know if this is like aimed at kids. Yeah, that's the claymation.
Yeah, I image searched it a little because I was like, I want to find some data on this, and it's got, as you can see, it has some different forms. Like, I'm seeing, it's got a manga which looks like it's very traditionally drawn, except that the dinosaur is really super simplistic.
Mm.
But also it looks like there's, like you said, like cheap flash animation. They've got the claymation. They got some other stuff in there,
and it's super simple but entertaining. Like, I don't know, it's like maybe because I have like a love of like Japanese humor and how stuff works like that. I think it's kind of fucking hilarious. Like, there's literally like one of the claymation segments is literally just 3 minutes of the dinosaur waiting for ramen to cook, and I'm just watching this. I'm like, is something gonna happen? And he just like, it's like, I don't know how to explain it.
You're literally watching somebody watch ramen cook.
Yeah. And then the gal just comes home and is like, hey, I'm home. And you just see him walk off, and the fucking ramen finishes and pops up. I'm just like, I don't know. It's like I said, I'm only like halfway through the first episode, but it's surprisingly wholesome and kind of healing.
Well, I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be wholesome. Are you expecting her to like fuck a dinosaur? I don't know.
No! I was just like,
yeah,
I mean, more wholesome in the fact of there's not like just, because like,
well, okay, so, yeah, you're saying that it's not played for, like, drama or anything. It really is just, literally, there's a girl and her roommate is a dinosaur.
Yeah, like, I wasn't going for, like, fucking a dinosaur. Going for, like, shit gets, like, really dramatic, or it's super high level on the gag level of just weird shit happening. Because there's an anime
not like, say, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, where there's also, like, some real-life bullshit, and occasionally they shoot lasers from their mouths.
And it's not like, Nichijou, where it's everyday life, but for some odd reason, there's a fucking cyborg who can shoot a laser out of her fucking hand for whatever reason. It's just, for some odd reason, you see, like, honestly, Devil's Legion just says it's by the same animation, and says it was the same animation team that did Pop Team Epic, and I can totally see it. I can see it 110%. Because on...
Oh, was that a ghosto? Oh no, he's gone extinct. All right, we're back after a short break.
So basically, I was just saying, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that the same animation team that did Pop Team Epic worked on this. It kind of has the same feel of it, if not less confusing, convoluted. Like, I think, like, here's the thing. I thought Pop Team Epic was funny, but I felt like the humor in it was too high level for me.
It was a little too try-hard?
Yeah, a little too...
Maybe not even, because try-hard has connotations, but it was definitely... It was going for a lot of depth and self-referencing.
Yeah, like, I don't like... since I didn't follow Pop Team Epic from, like, its manga or wherever its original state was, I didn't understand the jokes. And, like I said, I was like, I enjoy Japanese culture, and, I understand some of their memes and jokes and how their humor works, but Pop Team Epic was something on a higher level that I just did not understand, so I couldn't fully enjoy it. But this seems like it's much more simple. It's just Gallon Dinosaur doing cool things, being sweet and wholesome. I'm like, good. But yeah, so I'm gonna finish that. After this, I'm definitely gonna watch, bleh.
Esoteric's a good word for it, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch, what's the full name of it? I can never remember it. I reincarnated as a Otome game as a villainous with only destruction facts. Shortened to Hamefura.
God damn the Japanese. they really abuse this whole, character phonetic-based language thing. Because they can be like, I can write whatever dumb book, whatever super long dumb title I want on the side of my light novel, and I can compact it down to like 2 syllables. Like, damn it. Because that's the thing. I was like, there's no way you're going to remember off the top of your head what the full name of this fucking series is.
Nope.
But that is the situation we are in.
I will definitely want to... in English, it's been, basically, it looks like it's been shut into Destruction Flag Otome.
Mm-hmm.
But that's solid. So I'm gonna watch that. I saw some other things that I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a bunch of new things that I'm looking to, like...
Yeah, I'm sure Lucky will give everything the old 3-episode try and, come back to us, report back.
Yeah, like, I'll tell people what I'm watching, but I'll, like, say, yay or nay in a couple weeks. And as I said, not everything has even come out yet. Like, some things are still, like, a week or two off. But, yeah, like, I haven't even watched this week's, Sakura Wars okay, but the not CGI was weird. I might, like, honestly, if the anime is actually a sequel, I might hold off until I get the game and beat it. Although I kind of get the feeling that whatever choices I may or may not make in said game will probably have no effect on the damn anime, because, that's how things were.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see, because obviously the game's not out yet. Here, anyway.
Something else that I'm going to be watching, though, as soon as I am in that mood, is the Violent Evergarden movie showed up on Netflix. I'm just like...
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm also kind of like,
I was like, am I ready to feel? Like, I decided, if someone wanted to tell me, okay, what would you think is, like, one of the best animes to show that anime can be taken seriously? And I'd probably go Violent Evergarden. Like, I watched I can't remember what episode number, but the one where Violet goes to the writer who lost his daughter. I watched that scene. I still fucking bawled at the end. As she tries to leap the lake, I'm just all like, ah! I knew it was coming and I still bawled!
Yeah, it hurts.
It hurts
a lot.
It's my soul.
So much pain, but also so pretty. Why? How?
That's too fast for me to play again.
Okay, that's Animus, I think.
Yeah. As I said, there's a couple things on Netflix that I'm wondering if they're going to show up. Like the season 2 of the Netflix series of Baki is supposed to be out, but this is Netflix, so it might be out in JP Netflix. I don't know if it's out on English Netflix.
There is also the issue that everybody and their mother is trying to watch Netflix, so I don't know if Netflix is like, maybe would want to stagger stuff out a little bit because, damn. Yeah. Though I'll admit, I still have my list of stuff that I want to catch up on, and I have still not caught up on it. Other than MHA, kind of. But to be fair, I'm starting other stuff, so I'm just constantly dying in the wave of pop culture.
Oh yeah, Dorohedoro. I can't fucking pronounce it. I know the one you're talking about. It's like Dorohedoro. I read the entire fucking manga, so I want to see the anime, but I cry. I'm gonna retweet that, mama. I'm retweeting this and this. It's Summer Servants with bikes. What?
I'm just waiting to see if my notifications are gonna blow up.
Well, it didn't say. Oh wait, one. Yeah, you did. So Yeah, that's anime. Honestly, I really need to get into the habit of just writing down things I want to talk about and just looking at a fucking list.
Yeah, we do that off and on.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for, which one is this? It'll be 82 episodes of What's Up. I know this, and this was a quick check because I was reminding myself, oh yeah, I still have to release the AP13 from Wednesday. Because on the one hand, I'm trying not to flood the channel with the APs because we're kind of sort of doing it twice a week. And I know that some people don't have time to catch up on 2.5 to 3.5 hours twice a week, you know? Because you can see that the episodes are kind of chaotic with their listening. It goes up and down a lot with, like, how many views and stuff. So I have now been sitting on the one from Wednesday for a while. I need to remember to get it out because we're about to have 2 in the hopper.
Like I said, like I put forth the idea of it, but I really don't care. Well, I shouldn't say I really don't care either way. I would like to, but people are like, nah, I don't want it. I'd be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go do something else.
Yeah, I've definitely put the caveat that depending on what my prep time is, there may definitely be ones where I'm like, I'm not gonna be ready in like 3 days.
Yeah. And at that point, I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna go play video games and watch anime. Because, like, as I said, like, I really do like playing tabletop. It's one of my favorite things to do. But, you know, life happens. Life!
And, you know, and who knows, maybe we could mix it up with different stuff sometimes. Like I've said that maybe I want to take that midweek to get a couple of these nerds who are always asking for it and actually do my test scenario for L5R. So I've actually can say I've run that game before I write 10,000 pages on it or whatever. Or
did you say you wanted to run Only War, the 40K one?
Yeah, maybe, but that was like months ago. I don't know if I want to run that right now. You know, my wanting to run things goes up and down. I'm feeling we're gonna handle that like in the days before Wednesday, so it's something more fresh, and I can wrangle some people because everyone has lives and they're trying to do. Well, yeah. Hopefully, you built I believe the point was last time we built a list. Though maybe I do need to post the audio so you guys can actually review it. But maybe I'll try and get that done earlier on Sunday.
I'm not worried.
But yeah, I believe in general you have a plan for next time. I won't talk about too much because obviously the people who are listening to this can't listen to it yet.
Actually, I will say I'm worried. There's something that you said that we may forget that's important, and that worries me. Because Lucky has shitty memory.
No, this was literally in character. Several of you whiffed checks and got like a lot of threat. So I did what the game suggests when rolling threat on knowledge checks, and there were some things that I literally did not tell you.
Oh, okay.
That was an in-character forget.
Okay. Then that doesn't bug me.
Out of character, assuming I think all of us remember everything, we should be able to get on track. Because we had... Last session was... Let me actually check the length. What was the recording time? I think it was longer. Because it was a lot of downtime. Though, I think the dice just hate it when you do downtime.
Yeah.
Because you had a lot of problems rolling some of your downtime activities. Yeah, okay, so it's shorter. So it's only 2.5 hours, as opposed to 12 was about the same length, but 11 was super long. Yeah, 10 was 3 hours, and 11 was 3.5 hours.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, this one was shorter, but there was a lot of downtime up front. Oh, thanks. I was going to test a question about duty. I don't know. You get it when you get it. Why do you ask me these questions? I don't know. I feel like this came up because a different person, Loth, asked if it was okay to get a thing, and I'm like, I don't think I actually said it, but what I wanted to say was, I don't know, I'm not in charge of this. This is you. Like, I gave you the duty rewards, you rolled over, you pick the thing, you do it. You know what the rules are. I'm sure that's just because everybody wants to be nice and polite and not ruin things for me, but at a certain level, there's a certain amount of you have to leave the nest at some point, right?
Well, yeah, you look at me and it's like, I want a backhand shot glove so I can knock the fuck out of people. Never mind, I'm a Jedi, but whatever.
Okay. Whatever. I can't stop you. But yeah, you just get the item when you get all the things. Though this last session and the next session are probably going to be more ambiguous-y, timey-wimey because of stuff. But it was a lot of downtime setup, a lot of downtime scenes, setting up a lot of stuff, and then it was actually working on your goal, and then a lot of coming to the conclusion, like, okay, we need an action plan for this, and I was like, that's perfectly okay, because we've only touched on like maybe 50% or even less of the material I wrote for this. It's just, but you guys are like, I want to, you kind of had to figure out your plan of attack. Because there were a couple times, and I try not to be too feisty about it, but there was times when I was like I know Axe really wanted to do stuff along with his character's strengths and weaknesses, but a lot of it was just like, I can't really have you make a skill check for something that broad because you guys don't know what you're doing yet. So you unfortunately have to wait until you guys have a plan. Then you can use skills to basically attack the plan, as it were. So there was a lot of like, okay, here's our general outline, here's our starting information. We're going to take time off mic to actually figure out our action plan. And I don't know if you actually have, but whatever.
No, I haven't. Like I said, for those who are fans of the AP, you'll learn of this. But basically, the mission is basically we have to go back to Iridu and work on his defenses. And in the process, we realize that if we go too heavy-handed with them, the city won't like that. So we have to think of how we're going to broach the subject, and we need. It's like any fucking business proposal. We need to have handouts. We need to have a presentation, PowerPoint. I need a laser pointer. I need to have estimates.
Point with your lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there's a name for that. What is is it just called a pointer?
A laser pointer?
No, the non high tech pointer.
Pointer for presentation. Let me see. Laser pointers, remotes.
Amazon at least literally just calls it a pointing stick. Thanks, Amazon. There's probably some like obscure like French or Latin academic term somewhere, but you need that thing. Slap the presentation. Push holograms around the holo table. Don't ask me how that works.
Okay, Wikipedia. My first name for pointing stick is a laptop thing.
Huh.
It's the nub for the mouse function. Fuck. Pointing stick for presentations. Hang on, I am curious now. What's it called? Presentation pointer. Telescoping teaching point. Pointing stick. Presentation pointer. That's all I'm saying. Presentation pointer.
So on Wikipedia, that's pointer, open paren, rod, close paren. A pointer or pointing stick is a solid rod used to point manually in the form of a stick, but usually with a finished off or artificially produced.
Thanks, Wikipedia.
Okay, sure. Wow, I know it makes sense because we literally asked for this, but also at the same time I'm like, wow, it's fucking nothing. Thanks, guys. But yeah, so I was saying there might be some interim games I want to get in there because I could do some L5R. I'm not going to blather on about it because I went way too long last time we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but I am still gently rounding out my Fate hack. I think I kind of have an idea for what I do for a setup game as kind of like a get people introduced to the concept, because generally when I bring it up to people, they have no fucking idea, which is I would basically just crib the notes from the Fuyuki Singularity. Hey, it's Fuyuki, it's on fire, fix it. You have servants, and I've got a rolling system, which does mean I need to make sure I've got at least 6 in every class, because I want to roll a d6 at least, spread some stuff out, and kind of do basic mechanics, but I'll let people know when I start recruiting for that, because obviously I will need a few. Hopefully not necessarily 7 or 8, because that'd be a lot of people, but, some number of people is an intro ththing. I could probably get lucky to do it.
Probably.
Hey, you say that, Tyranid King, but that's in my list. I've already done stats for Ozukaba Hime. Oh, I should, because I brought it up before, this thing has been constantly nagging at me with, like, the game design part of it, so I did change how I handled the rule on EX rank, where I made it a D12/D4. Before it was I escalated to D20, but I decided I wasn't comfortable with that, because the original Marvel game didn't do that, and the jump from 12 to 20 is kind of big.
That's 8 points.
So I was like, maybe I shouldn't fuck up the odd distribution on this system, without testing it first.
Can't you do like 2d8 or something?
No, the game isn't based on having... That's usually a special power, is to get multiple dice. Because you need the dice types for stuff. So what I did was I did D12, D4, and basically, because EX is very weird in Fate, I said, okay, so here's the thing. If you have an extraordinary rank ability, it's either the bestest or it's just weird. So if it applies, you get a D12, the highest die type. If it doesn't... No, there you go again. You're saying it gives you extra dice. No. Like I said, that's literally a special effect, is to get to, like, double or add extra dice. Because the way the dice pool works is having more dice is always beneficial. So skills can already have special effects. I don't want to double up and be like, and your special skill rank gives you a special effect. So like I said, EX is usually really good, but sometimes it's like Tawara Toda's Infinite Rice Bag, and that's just weird. So that's why I said it's D12, D4. So you can choose to roll it as a D4 if it doesn't apply and get a power point, a special, luck manipulation point. Or you can use your big fancy D12. So it's kind of like, if it's a power that's always on, that's great. If it doesn't work, you can hinder yourself for a free die, or for a free power point, or plot point, and it's useful that way. And then it also has a special, because normally you can target trait dice with other things to, like theoretically you'd be like, hey, I want to lock this person out from, say, using that weapon or tool or noble phantasm by, like, disarming them or binding their arms up or something. You do that by targeting the trait die, so you need to have a dice pool that can be big enough to basically affect their trait die. And I wrote in the rules, okay, so unless there's a narrative rule for it, you can't target EX trait dice, even with other EX trait dice, unless you have a narrative in, because they're so weird and exceptional. Because my general rule before was you can only target at least if you have the same size of rank die. But other, little stuff. Well, yeah, the pluses are dumb and not granular, so I was just like, if something is a plus, I guess it has superiority, but it's still just a D12, because there's only like 4 dice, guys. The whole, like I said, this is the reason why I tried to get out of the D20, because I'm like, I don't want to fuck up the probability too much. Because I know this base game works, I don't want to fuck with it without testing, and be like, oh, I could have every plus be a +1 on a die, but that's a whole bunch of extra bookkeeping that's not in the base rules, and I don't know if I want to fuck up how this works. Because that's always the thing with homebrew, right? Like, with Mages of War, I based that on a D percentile system that was based on other stuff, but you generally understand the distribution of the curve with a, with percentiles, right? It's literally percentages. That's pretty easy to understand. It was pretty easy for me to model to my own needs. But with other dice systems, you have to be careful with how your distribution works, right? Like with Star Wars, I have to keep in mind what the game calls hard, and then what I have to set the difficulty at as, because everybody's rocking 3 skill dice, are different things, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, even though 3 difficulty dice is called hard, for most people who are actually good at skills, it's not that hard, so you have to kind of consider where you want to set stuff. I know for a fact that because I believe you guys have very heavily focused on skills a lot, I definitely have to curve up the difficulty dice of stuff that I'm like, I want this to be challenging. And then sometimes you guys are rolling versus averages or whatever, or easies, and it's like, wow, the dice just hate you today.
Yeah, I know this pain.
It can get a little swingy, so you have to be careful with that kind of, like, when you're not using something that was tested, presumably by multiple people on multiple designers, is what I'm getting at. Like, that is a problem I think some amateur homebrewers and game designers have, is that they're like, no, this is my vision for the game, it should be this way, never mind that I'm one asshole without an editor, and this was presumably gone through multiple developers and multiple playtesters who made it this way, So, not that I'm talking shit on, like, because I'm a solo game designer too, but just like I said, there are a lot of people on the internet who are like, or just in general tabletop communities who, like, see a rule and want to immediately discard it or edit it because it doesn't fit how they feel things should be. But this is why my personal philosophy is usually to try and play something straight first and then adjust, because you don't know what kind of bullshit background math went into making a mechanic the way it is. It's the same with video games. Like, you don't know why they decided to do something this way. Try it out first, then be like, okay, this doesn't work for me. Let me adjust. I briefly mentioned... Go ahead.
What was the last session number? Was last session 11, 13, or 12?
The last session was 13. It's not posted yet.
Okay.
If you're looking for it.
No, sorry. I just realized I hadn't noted down my experience for...
Nope, it was 13.
All right, cool. Okay.
We built the city.
Rockin'. Honestly, the fucking Ninja Sex Party cover is really good.
That's why I was super excited to see it. They do good covers. They also do good regular music. Or also Just Danny does. What was that?
Magnum Bullets?
Magnum Bullets, but the band was Night Runner, but it was Feet Dan. And it was, oh, damn. First of all, the video's great. That's what, Knights of the Light Table, I think, is the animation studio. They've done a couple one.
They also did that other one with...
Starlight Brigade. That was with Tupperware Remix Party and Ninja Sex Party featuring. And that's another really, really fucking good one, but goddamn, Magnum Bullets is like, wow, holy shit. It's also a very different style of music for Dan.
It was a lot more... I don't know. Anyway, but, like, I keep hearing this, I'm like, God, I really, like, I have the first CD of Under the Covers, I'm like, God, I need the other ones.
You should probably look into that, because I don't, the thing is, I don't like all the covers, but I like some of them, because...
well, that's how I feel about Ninja Sex Party, about, in general. Some of them are, like, really good, and some of them I'm like,
I mean, that's kind of what happens when you write a parody band.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Which is why I think Danny does so many... that's why they did Under the Covers, because he has a lot of music he likes that he wants to cover, but also why they work with groups like Twerp and probably now Knight Rider to do more serious music, because Magnum Bullets is very serious. Let me pull up the lyrics. It's got a lot of great lines in it.
My favorite scene is when he shoots the bullet in the wolf's right again, and Danny's just screaming his heart out. I'm like, oh! This is amazing!
Yeah. Like, the opening lyrics is, dark and moonless night has never felt so right. An empty mirror only shows what's left inside. You know, no longer I pretend, the staircase I descend will lead me anywhere but my unscripted end. You know, all those stuff. And then the second bar is, like, when he comes back up the stairs, basically. Back up the stairs again, I am a different man. A broken mirror only shows best it can. Running in shoes that shine, with blood that isn't mine. It's like, damn, this song's very hardcore. And so is the music video. It's like weird cyberpunk animal people, but it's great.
It is great.
There's a chick with a laser katana, and just the animation is super smooth. But it's by the same guys who did the music video for Starlight Brigade, which is another one I really super like. But I was talking about other stuff. What was I?
You're talking about scaling in Star Wars and what difficulties about.
Because we were talking about music. That's right.
Yeah. Well, no, it was like I had the tangent because I couldn't remember what session we were on, because I can remember the last 2 sessions of XP I got, but I didn't note them down.
Yeah, so it's 13. We built this city, and I don't know what the next one's called, but we'll see. The last one that was posted to public was Bad Boys.
Yeah, 45 experience. I need to throw at shit. Yeah, maybe I'll throw 2 points in the brawl.
The other thing I was going to mention real quick is that I haven't made a big deal of it, but I have still been plugging away at Mages 2020 occasionally. I do have all the magic talents in, including Blood and Spirit, which are pseudo-new player-facing aspects. I don't know. I'm not going to throw Lucky on the spot, because I know that he's been busy with other stuff, and I'm pretty sure I haven't mentioned what I've been doing, so I'm going to doubt he's read that stuff.
No. Sorry.
That's okay. Like I said, I don't think I told anybody I did that. I was just thinking about it. But I've done that, so that's complete, and then I decided to pivot from doing more talents, because I want to do talents before I do backgrounds and stuff, and, finish out character gen. But I decided to, like I said, pivot for a little bit, so I'm not working on the same rules kind of back to back. That's something I like to do. So I've been kind of slowly working through the gears and tools section, writing out descriptions and building my list. Some of it is, ports over from stuff that already existed in the original Mages of War, though obviously with improvements, because in, Mages of War, flashlights suck. Because it's World War I. They are literally flashlights. You use them for brief periods. If you drop them, they're fucked. You've got only a couple hours of battery. In the grim darkness of the year 2020, flashlights are much brighter, much tougher, and in fact, taking inspiration from maglights, it's literally a rule that the portable flashlight you can buy can be doubled as a police baton. You can literally hit people with it. Whack! Which I expect a lot of characters are going to do, is going to be like, well, I'll just buy a flashlight and then hit people with it.
Multi-use tools are the best.
Though there's a couple of new things, like digital cameras obviously are in here, chem lights, replacing flares. There's the chameleon cloak, so you can do your invisibility cloak thing. I made sure to make the balaclava a piece of equipment.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a good balaclava?
Includes and covers all kinds of stuff. Ski masks, helmet liners, scarves, whatever. Anything that covers your face. Protects you from cold temperatures and also makes it harder to recognize you. Who could have guessed? Basically, anybody who wants to recognize your ID, you take a -20, but you take a -10 on social tests because you're literally talking like this the whole time. It's kind of weird. But I wanted to just throw that in as that's definitely a tactical piece of equipment. And I've got some other stuff that I haven't gone all the way through the thing defining, mage tape will be on there because you need rolls of tape, solar chargers, sleeping bags. Storm lanterns are going to be a thing now, as opposed to messenger lanterns, so they'll probably be crank powered. There's a lot of tactical things. Tactical hard case, tactical soft case, tactical pouch, walkie-talkies in there, zip tie cuffs.
All these things are probably Molly compatible. strap them up, strap them together, boom, go.
Yeah. But that's just a thing I'm working on. Speaking of Mages 2020 and Magnum Bullets, that watching that music video really did make me feel like writing more Poison 7. I just literally haven't had time yet. Because I think that was like Tuesday or Wednesday that I watched the video, and then I'm just like, fuck, we lost about 1. So much. Oh,
you can probably blame that. You can probably blame me for a little bit, because like, yeah, I'm done, and Megan's just like, shit.
Well, yeah, part of it was, when did you finish? Was that late? It must have been late Wednesday.
Yeah, I think
Thursday is when I'm like, okay, I'm locking myself in the Lost Bell dungeon. I'm not coming out until I'm done, because Friday we're going to talk about it. And then we talked about it for like 2.5 hours Friday. Go us. Shockingly, that video I think is doing all right. Let's see. Yeah. Currently ranking number 1 by views in the recent videos, which means it's beating out last week's, which is saying something.
Let me see here. YouTubes.
And currently our average view duration is way up, and views and watch time are way up over the average.
That looks like we're getting some feedback. Turn off. Okay.
There's a thermal vision spell.
Oh, there's cool.
Yeah.
Thermal sense. We got 2 dislikes. Why?
There's also NVGs will be an actual standalone item, because that's a thing you could do in the future. It's called thermal sense, but you can. It's not necessarily limited to your ability to just nebulously feel.
Do it like a snake. Stick out your tongue.
So, because it can make you aware of targets at close range, but just period, while you're trying to look for people, you get a flat bonus, I believe, is the actual mechanic.
Okay.
There is a thermal scope, too, in weapon attachments. Man, a lot of people are posting stuff.
Are they?
I mean, just in general on Discord, I'm like, there's a lot of channels firing off.
Well, that means we just have we have a robust community.
We do. We have a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people talking about new animus. There's a lot of people talking about FGO stuff still, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gonna retweet something. So, last week I think I mentioned a reminder that somebody said they wanted to do a thing. And I was like, I didn't have any notes prepared. I have some notes prepared. So,
what thing?
The Omega describes 40k factions to Lucky poorly.
Oh, God.
I actually wrote my list out.
Oh, no. Is this what you were writing on before this?
A little bit, yeah. I just wanted to make sure I had everything in order. It's not notes, it's just I wanted to make sure I actually wrote down all the fucking factions. God damn it, Games Workshop.
Oh, no.
So, do you have anything else you want to bring up?
Hang on, let me get another shot of vodka here.
Perfect.
1 second, hang on, people.
No, he needs to go to the servo skull and get his Amasek from the refrigeratorium to just put everybody on the fucking 40k mood. Oh. Because I'll say this while Lucky's getting stuff. I've been trying to kind of watch some more 40k-ish content, but also not trying super hard. Like, I'm trying to find a good channel to do bat reps, because I'm definitely way too poor to play this game. Holy shit, Games Workshop. What the fuck? Because I may have looked on their store to make sure, like I said, I got all the modern factions down. But
okay, I have fortified.
But they're like, hold on, let me pull up the store again. Let me take an example. Let me just grab Astra Militarum. What's the actual? Yeah, so it's like $40 for the Codex, and if you want to buy a tank, that's like minimum $60, and if you want to buy some just infantry guys, that's like, what is it, like $35 I think for some shock troops, $40 for a heavy weapon squad. Yeah, though it's funny, almost everything on Games Workshop's official online store is sold out online right now. Gee, who could have guessed? I know a lot of people, not just for 40k, but a lot of people are buying and painting miniatures in these trying times. But okay, I have my list. Lucky's got his vodka. Mm-hmm. Let's do the explains 40k factions badly. So these are all basically kind of, I'm summarizing different armies you can play on the tabletop, but also some that exist just in the fluff. Because some of these have kind of phased in and out of playability. So, actually, I should make sure. Yeah. In the grim dark future, of the 41st millennium, there is only war. That is literally how 40k starts. So, I could do these in different kind of orders. I think I'll just kind of go where the flow goes, and I'll be pausing occasionally for Lucky to ask dumb questions.
Okay.
Because I'm explaining dumb things. So, not in the beginning, but basically at the heart of this, there was a guy called the Emperor of Mankind. He was huge, he had great hair, and he has bullshit psychic powers. He may have lived thousands of years. Anyway, in the grimdark future of the year 30,000, he decides, okay, I'm going to unite humanity. So he creates superhuman super soldiers based on 20 Primarchs, which are clones of him, kind of, who get distributed throughout the cosmos. Don't worry, we'll talk about that later.
Wait. So he made clones of him?
Yes. That's what Space Marines are. We'll start with Space Marines. So, Space Marines are transhuman super soldiers based on the gene seed of one of the 20 Primarchs. Only not really, because some of the Primarchs fell to chaos, and we'll talk about that in a second. And 2 of the Primarchs were stricken from history for some reason. Presumably so that back in the 80s, you could have a super cool special snowflake backstory for your Space Marines by saying that they were from one of the quote-unquote lost legions. But the Emperor of Mankind is like, yo, I'm going to reconquer all of space and build the Imperium of Man, and he makes his Space Marines. So, Space Marines, like I said, they are transhuman. They are upgraded with bionics and cybernetics. They have super special power armor that only they can use, which allows them to use heavy weapons like the infamous Bolter, the 75 caliber exploding gyrojet guns, because of course. They also can use fuck-off chain swords and stuff. And they are his defenders of man. I'm not going to talk about all the different types of Space Marines you can be, but originally there were 20 legions, and then there's numerous successor chapters now. So the originals included names like the Dark Angels, the White Scars, the Space Wolves, the Imperial Fists, the Blood Angels, the Iron Hands, the Ultramarines, who are in fact blue, the Salamanders, and the Raven Guard.
Okay, so clearly what I'm getting out of this is back in the 80s, someone got really fucking high, listened to a bunch of death metal, and wrote this.
Yes, correct. BT Dubs, Games Workshop used to own a record label, and they published Games Workshop themed metal. I'm not kidding. That actually happened. So, yes.
That sounds 80s as fuck.
40K is super 80s. Everything is a heavy metal album cover. So, these are the Space Marines. So, during this Great Crusade, some bad shit happened, and some of the Primarchs and / legions went a little crazy. They might have fallen to Coas, who we will probably talk about next just for completion. But some of them turned traitor, and one of the biggest traitors, the Supreme Traitor, was Horus, the War Master, leader of the now Black Legion Space Marines, who was the coolest Space Marine Primarch, but he was a little butthurt that maybe he wasn't the coolest, so he betrayed the Emperor, mortally wounded him in what was called the Horus Heresy, means that the God Emperor of Mankind is now a little more than a skelly man sitting on a golden throne. They put him in a stasis field so he doesn't quite die all the way. He's just mostly dead, sitting on the throne, powering the Astronomicon so that the people of humanity can make their way through the warp, which is basically space hell, because all space travel is done Event Horizon style, where you jump through hell to get there. So the Emperor is kind of dead.
So wait, so they basically have an undead engine that runs them through hell?
Yes. He powers what is called the Astronomicon, which is basically a giant psychic space lighthouse. So you navigate your way through space hell by finding where the Emperor's lighthouse light is. And just to remind you how metal this is, in order to power the Astronomicon, the Emperor must have literally hundreds of low-level psychics sacrificed to him every day.
Where did they get all these psychics?
From space! They literally have things called the Black Ships, which go around to all the different Mankind colonies, because, man, the Emperor conquered a lot of space before he got betrayed and everything got fucked. So there are hundreds of thousands of planets with humans living on them, many of which suck ass, of which they can recruit low-level psychics who would probably be eaten by demons if they weren't fed to the Emperor. Those who are actually tough enough to withstand being within, like, a good solid 5 feet of the Emperor, they usually become sanctioned psychers. So the Emperor died, and they built a religion around him, which kind of sucks for him, but because of the fact that some Space Marines went traitor, one of the Primarch of the Ultramarines, I should say, Reboot Gilman, wrote a book called the Codex of Starties, which basically broke up the big Space Marine legions, which were Roman legion-sized, into chapters. So now there are lots of successor chapters, so if you want to paint your dudes and like a specific color, you can paint them any way you like, basically. It's for painting reasons. While you won't get special rules, like if you're playing Space Wolves or Ultramarines or whatever, you can take vanilla Space Marine units, or Codex, or Adeptus Astartes, as they call them, because they couldn't copyright Space Marine, in any color scheme you want. If you want to make up a story about... I tried to come up with a dumb name, but I was just like, wait, is that a real Space Marine chapter name?
Oh god, you actually have to wonder if it's a chapter name. Jesus fucking Christ.
There are some like the Celestial Lions, the Rainbow Warriors, the Astral Knights, the Blood Terrors, the Flesh Eaters.
Can I just have a chapter called the BootyBlasters?
Yes, you could. Their colors are purple and gold. Their sigil is a peach. They are the BootyBlasters. Done. That's a Space Marine chapter. Like, that's how fucking weird this is. Like, and back in the early days, they really went whole hog with what the internet affectionately calls your dudes. So let's talk about chaos real quick.
Okay.
So, like I said, there's this thing called the warp. It's kind of space hell. It used to be nicer, but some shit happened, and we'll talk about the Eldar later. Now it's populated with demons. It's kind of like... So imagine if, you know all the collective unconsciousness worlds in Persona, right? Yeah, imagine if those weren't just for Earth, but were for the entire galaxy, and people kept putting bad shit in them, and there were no Phantom Thieves to just punch somebody in the face.
Well...
The Emperor kind of wanted to punch him in the face, but then he got stabbed, and now he's sitting on a giant golden toilet, eternally skeletonizing. It kind of sucks for him. So there are 4 major gods of chaos, and there used to be a 5th guy of Chaos United, but they didn't trademark him, so they don't talk about him anymore. I will be alluding to many factions of which are no longer supported because this game has been going for like 30 years. So there's 4 primary chaos gods. There's Tzeentch. He is blue. He is the god of change. So he is the god for all people who like everything all keikaku-y and sorcery-y and maybe a little bit hope and change. But he's really kind of just an asshole who's constantly planning stuff.
Okay.
Then there's Khorne, the blood god with the skull throne.
I'm sorry, I immediately thought, is he actually Khorne?
No, like, he's got an H in there.
Oh, okay.
Khorne! Yeah, so he's the chaos god of war and bloodshed.
Of course he is.
If you've ever heard the term blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne, that guy's a Khorne cultist. They're talking about him.
Oh, wow.
His demons are all blood-themed. And by the way, some of his demons have the coolest abilities in the RPG. Khorne Bloodletters, a type of demon you can fight in like Dark Heresy and stuff, have a special power that they literally never take penalties for blood. They aren't blinded if somebody gets a crit and explodes into blood. They don't slip if there's giant pools of blood on the floor. It's the weirdest, most metal shit. But yeah, Khorne's a popular guy because he's pretty simple. He's about punching stuff. Then there's Nurgle, affectionately referred to as Papa Nurgle, the chaos god of disease and decay.
Okay.
He's all about sickness and disease and stuff. And most of his servants and demons are gross, but oddly comfortable. It's weird.
What do you mean, oddly comfortable?
They're just okay with being covered in sizzling acidic boils and parasitic wasp demons. I don't know. It's a weird Khorne thing. Or a weird Nurgle thing, sorry. People are just comfortable with Nurgle for some reason.
Huh.
He basically gives you, like, super cancer. Like, I think a lot of his cultists and demons have, like, super regeneration, because they're so diseased. So they're just like, yeah, life kind of sucks, but I guess I'll just live forever. It's fine. And then, finally, there's Slaanesh, she who thirsts, the prince of excess. Yeah, it's both. Mm-hmm. It's a common joke that, Slaanesh goes both ways, in more ways than one. Slaanesh is the demon god, the chaos god of hedonism and excess, pain and pleasure, all sorts of, sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Hey.
So you can see why Slaanesh is popular with many people. Slaanesh is very pink. I forgot to mention, Khorne is red, obviously, and Nurgle is green. So Slaanesh is pinkish purple. Mm-hmm. And those are the primary chaos gods. So when the Emperor made the Primarchs, the chaos gods got together and threw them all into space. So they ended up on different planets, where some of them were fucked. Angron got a weird cybernetic nail stuck in his head, so he was literally angry all the time. Hey, guess what? He fell to corn. So, during the Horus Heresy, some of the Space Marines fell, and they are now Chaos Space Marines. So, they're like Space Marines, but way more edgy and evil. So, like, some of them that fell to Slaanesh are like the Noise Marines, who, have sonic blasters and blast people to death. Some of them are Khorne Berserkers. There are Plague Marines who serve Nurgle, who are, like I said, are all filled with cancer and space fart gas and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Siege Marines are just usually sorcerers, I guess. And some of them are literally made of dust. 1,000 Suns are weird.
I guess the BootyBlasters aren't just Slaanesh, then.
Chaos Warband. But yeah, so that's the whole your dudes thing. Now, the Forces of Chaos are kind of... We'll probably cover all of them pretty fairly, because depending on your edition, sometimes Chaos Daemons have been their own army, or you can only deploy them as part of a generic Chaos force. You can actually summon the various daemons and sub-gods of the warp into the Materium, as they call it, where they can fuck shit up and are really weird blob monsters that are probably a pain in the ass to paint. Or you can also include those guys with Chaos Space Marines who serve as a bulk of Chaos's forces. There's also Chaos Cultists, which are just normals who fell to Chaos because, man, the Imperium really sucks. We'll talk about how much they suck in a second. But when you're trying to run a global, not even global, a galaxy-spanning empire of man, when your chief executive officer / god is a spooky skeleton man who only occasionally speaks psychically to some people, maybe, it's real difficult, okay? So sometimes life just sucks for these people and they fall to Chaos. Usually I think Chaos Cultists are now just lumped into as just extra dudes Chaos Space Marines can take. And we'll probably talk about the Chaos versions of some other factions as we move through them. So, I mentioned the Imperium of Man kind of sucks.
Yeah. How are they maintaining their population?
Probably lots of fucking, lots of food. They're literally agri worlds which do nothing but grow food. Cloning. Some places clone.
Yeah, this is totally the 80s.
Though also there's if you're a super hoity-toity noble in the Imperium of Man, you don't need extra population because you can get rejuvenate treatments and live for like 1,000 years, my dude. If you're super rich. Or actually important. It's weird. Because technically I mentioned it's called 40K, and I mentioned the 41st millennium earlier. Technically in the current canon, we're actually in the 42nd millennium. So there's a lot of millenniums going on.
Oh, it's been a long time then. Shit.
Yes, the Horus Heresy happened in the year 30K. So, like, shit's been fucked up for a while.
Wow.
But, so, in order to defend themselves from the forces of chaos and the dirty Xenos, the aliens, because the Emperor was notoriously a hardball on aliens for fucking shit up for humans. Not without reason. We'll talk about why aliens suck in a second, because they're a whole nother block of factions. But, to defend this great thing, you've got all these Space Marines, but they're kind of rare. They have to go through a special process where you get them when they're kids and you implant them with the gene seed. And only dudes can be Space Marines because girls are icky.
80s!
It's a long-running bone of contention about female Space Marines. I'm not even going to go there, but it's a thing. Officially, there are no female Space Marines. Unless it's the first edition of Rogue Trader, in which case there were ladies in power armor who were called female Space Marines, but they decided to retcon that. Anyway, there's not enough Space Marines to go around, basically. So, what do? You get the Imperial Guard, aka the Astra Militarum, because Imperial Guard is also way too generic to trademark. And so, basically, if you're a big enough world in the Imperium, you gotta give some soldiers to the cause. They're probably not here to defend you, they're gonna go someplace else and defend them and die, but, you've got the Imperial Guardsmen. Now, this is where, I don't know if Lucky has heard these jokes, but the audience, you may have heard these references. Imperial Guardsmen are armed with the robust flak armor, aka their t-shirts, because they have notoriously awful armor saves, compared to power-armored Space Marines and horrible demons of chaos and alien technology. And they've got their trusty flashlight, aka their las gun, because despite being a very shooty army, Imperial Guard are notoriously bad at killing things. Even though in the fluff, a las gun is supposed to be pretty strong. I think there's, like, in novels and stuff, you can see las guns, like, blowing up small objects and, punching through plate steel and whatnot. But on the tabletop, the effect is akin to shining a flashlight at your enemies. So,
great.
These are the robust defenders of man. They make up for it for having a fuck ton of dudes and by having some of the heaviest vehicles you can deploy in the game. You can tell why people play Imperial Guard, because they like to play armies of dudes, normal dudes, completely normal humans, except some of them may have a robot arm or a robot eye, versus horrible, unfeeling monsters. So the special Your Dudes quality of Imperial Guard is Imperial Guard regiments are drawn up for all kinds of worlds, so they can be literally anything. You want them to be fucking hardcore Russian infantry dudes? Boom, you got it. Put a little, I think it's the Vostrians, put little Ushenka hats on them with the little flaps, give them big fluffy coats, boom, Imperial Guard regiment. You want them to be desert soldiers? There's the Talaran Desert Raiders. Want them to be Space Mongols, even though we already have the white scars for Space Marine Space Mongols. I believe that's the Atellan Rough Riders, who have horses and stuff. You want them to just be like they're extras from an 80s action movie. There's the Katachin Jungle Fighters, who are all look like they rolled straight up out of Rambo or Predator or something. Even the women, carrying huge flamethrowers and stuff. There's all kinds of stuff, and you can make up your own backstory and color scheme or whatever. Perfect.
Sounds fun.
And also, they get all the coolest tanks. You want to set people on fire, you want fucking giant siege guns, you want flak guns. They got a tank for you. And also, I'll mention them because they're kind of funny. This is usually where an Imperial Guard is where you get what are called abhumans. Basically, humanity is real harsh on mutants. That's one of their things. No heretics, no mutants, no witches, aka no magic, no psychic powers. Except they use all of these things. Suffer not the alien, the witch, or the mutant to live. But we'll deal with any of them if we have to. So there are certain mutations which are sanctioned by the Imperium. There's the Navigators, who have 3 eyes, one of which can see into the warp. They help fly your ship through space hell. And if you look into their eye, your brain might explode. But they're pretty important. There's also a couple which are sanctioned, which are basically stand-ins because, hey, guess what? 40K used to be literally Warhammer Fantasy in space. So you've got Ogrins, who are giant, dumb abhumans, who are space ogres. You've got Ratlings, who are short, hairy abhumans, who are good at cooking. They're halflings. They're also snipers for some reason, but maybe that's because Bilbo was a halfling burglar. I don't know. It's funny that way.
Okay.
There used to be squats, who were space dwarves, who were 80s biker punk space dwarves, but they stopped producing those models, and officially they were all eaten by Tyranids, so there's a common phrase among the community is that your army or faction could get squatted, aka completely written out of the game, never to be seen again.
Oh god.
Because they realized that doing everything that was literally X but in space was kind of dumb.
But
there's also another couple of these... Go ahead.
Aren't they still doing that?
Yes, but no.
Yes, but no.
Well, they did it in reverse. They added, what are they called? Stormcast Eternals. They added big, scary armored dudes to Age of Sigmar, which is what Warhammer Fantasy is now. So they put Space Marines in Fantasy. They did the reverse.
Oh.
Now, there are also at least one other form of sanctioned abhumans called the Felinids, Homo sapiens hirsutus, but they only exist on one world and can't go anywhere else and have never been depicted in the fiction, so nobody knows what they look like. The common guess, though, is that they are cat girls.
Of course, even in the Grimdark futures, the Emperor's all like, no, cat girls are fucking...
And most people I've talked to in the community imagine them, they have to be 80s anime poof hair cat girls because it has to fit the 40K aesthetic, which I wholeheartedly support. So, this is the forces of the Imperial Guard.
Only if they are wearing 80s aerobics gear.
Naturally, that's the only way. You gotta get that Lycra in there.
Mm-hmm.
Chewing bubblegum, smoking cigarettes, wearing Lycra, big poofy hair, giant shoulders. That is, in fact, part of the 40K aesthetic, so that's fine anyway.
Oh my god.
So that's the Imperial Guard. And no, I'm not... Space Marines have their chapter markings on their shoulder pads, so their shoulder pads have to be fucking huge so you can paint logos on them. It's pretty funny. Oh, actually, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but they're a late game edition, so I should say Space Marines got an upgrade recently in the fiction. They have new Primaris Marines, which is a guy basically fixed all the bugs in the Space Marine program and made Super Space Marines. So they're extra tall. A normal Space Marine is like maybe 10 feet tall, tops in powered armor. These guys are like 12 feet tall.
Why?
Because they have to be less manlet. That's a joke because of the proportion is that Space Marines are quote-unquote, regular Space Marines are quote-unquote manlets.
But they're 10 feet tall!
I know, but miniatures. Let me see if I can get a good comparison between Primaris sizes and regular dudes. I don't know if this is 1-to-1, but here.
Someone I think, was just one that's all like, clearly I have a bigger dig than the regular space. So I must now have
the scale is accurate.
So I must have a bigger Space Marine. Therefore, my Diggus is the biggest.
Probably. So primary Space Marines are brand new Space Marines. They don't have any problems. They have new shit. They have new extras, new features. Feature creep came in. And they have new specializations. And so you have a reason to buy all new miniatures because everybody playing Space Marines probably already owns all their regular-ass Space Marines.
Oh my god, the more I listen, the more I just feel like these nerds in the fucking 80s couldn't get fucking laid, so they got pissed off and made a game around how being a man.
Well, here's the thing. The Primaris
awesome.
Marines are really new. They're like this decade new.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's just like...
Oh boy, we haven't even gotten to some of the shit. Okay.
Oh no.
We are not yet begun to be edgy. So, speaking of which, let's talk about the Inquisition.
What? Oh god.
The Imperium has various holy orders and other bits and bobs in their administration. The Astra Militarum is one department. The Ecclesiarchy is another department. The Church of Mankind, even though the Emperor did not want to be worshipped and was building a secular government. Funny how that works. But one of those departments is called the Ordos Inquisitorum. They are the ones who handle all that heresy and stuff we keep talking about. They have 3 major ordos and then lots of minor ordos, so once again, you could write a story about whatever. But the big ones are the Ordo Hereticus. They take care of heretics, which is basically anybody who thinks, feels, or speaks differently than is officially approved by our dear Imperium of Man.
Oh my god.
Heresy is a very broad term. They're the ones usually going around yelling, heresy, blam! Well, actually, okay, so that happens a lot with commissars, which I probably should have mentioned with Imperial Guard, but Imperial Guard is the faction mainly of commissars, the commissariat, who are space political officers who do, in fact, if you retreat or engage in heretical activity, they may shoot you. They are trained by the Schola Progenium, which is usually funneled into the Inquisition. That's where Inquisitorial stormtroopers come, because even guardsmen need super elite forms. So they get stormtroopers who also work with the Inquisition sometime. Mostly so I'm sure they can repurpose those models. And the Inquisition has another couple of forces they ally with.
I like the fact that when I put in heresy, this is something that clearly heresy.
Yes, a female space marine. Clearly heretical.
Heretical!
Blam! Or possibly exterminatus, where they completely destroy the entire planet. Good job.
Good job.
So there's also the Ordo Xenos, who handle alien shit. They're out there making sure aliens aren't in your Imperium fucking shit up, and nobody in the Imperium is stealing alien technology and putting it to unsanctioned uses. The Ordo Xenos employs the Death Watch, which are inquisitorial space marines. They've left their regular chapters, they're clad all in black, and they fight aliens on, like, high-speed, low-drag tactical missions. There's also the Ordo Malleus, the Witchfinders. They deal with warp shit, specifically, because heresy is not just warp shit, it can also just be somebody having a fucking opinion. Most of the Ordo Malleus is made up of the Grey Knights, who are special space marines, who are all psychic and are super pure and would never fall to chaos. Their founder and leader, Kaldor Drago, to this day is lost in the warp, constantly punching daemons for his survival. Occasionally, he gets to return to the Materium to punch demons there, and then he fucks off back to the warp.
You say super special space marines, but aren't all of them kind of super special fucking
yes,
space marines?
Yes, the Grey Knights are super specialer.
Oh my god.
Yes. Grey Knights are variable populace among the general community. Some people like them for being super pure and cool. Other people don't like them because they're such super special space marines. They're literally all psychers, Lucky.
The more I hear about this is just literally a dick measuring contest between nerds.
Yes.
Oh my god. Why?
So technically they're their own faction, but the Inquisition also can make use of the Officio Assassinorum, because of course the Imperium of Man has an office of assassins. Yeah.
Now I'm just imagining Space Marine office workers who are about to go, I'm just gonna go step out and kill a man.
Well, they're not Space Marines, but yes, that is how the Officio Assassinorum works. So, they come in many orders. There's the Eversors, who you may have seen before. Let me Google Mr. Eversor. They are weird Skullman assassins who fight in close quarters. So Everswords are basically hyped up on super drugs and cybernetics and wield melee weapons and go crazy and stab you. Then there's the Calidus assassins, who are usually ladies in black leather.
I am intrigued already.
They are the shapeshifting assassins. They use something called polymorphine. Puns, everybody. They can transform into basically anybody and look like anybody. And so they appear right behind you and stab you with weird alien tech swords that are totally okay, guys. Definitely not evil. And then the other big one is... It's Calidus, Everstorm. What's the other one? Vindicare, that's right. Vindicare assassins have big guns. That's literally it. That's their move. They have giant fuck-off guns and they shoot you from very far away. They look like this. This guy. Look at his huge gun. Wow. I think that gun is bigger than a man.
Yeah.
So, there are other assassins, like there's like hacker assassins and other shit, but nobody cares about them. They're not as cool. And technically you can use assassins with any Imperium faction, I guess. So, another big aspect of the Imperium, though, is talking about how fucked they are, is the Adeptus Mechanicus, the machine cult. So we have this thing called the Dark Age of Technology. It's really weird. Nobody talks about it. But there were some guys called the Men of Iron, and they rebelled, so we had to destroy all of them, and now no robots. Also, all our technology got lost in the Crusade thing, so we have these things called Standard Template Kits, STCs, which all of our tech is based on with minor variations, and to do anything else is heresy against the tech cult. So the Emperor has kind of a god cult that all the Imperium's in, and then the Adeptus Mechanicus are kind of separate from that. They're like a parallel cult. Maybe the Emperor is the voice of what they call the Omnissiah, the machine god. Maybe not. They don't really care. We're in it together. So they are a separate cult who runs all of your technology. The Mechanicus believe that there is no such thing as new knowledge. All knowledge already exists. You just have to rediscover it. So sometimes that works, and sometimes that doesn't, because anything that they regard as innovation is tech heresy. So,
why?
You can't just go like, oh, hey, I updated the drivers on my computer, now it's 0.0% faster. Heresy. That's a sacred machine spirit. You can't do that. You have to offer the prayers and the incense. So basically, everything high-tech in this setting is shrouded in occult mysticism bullshit. Everything that you normally would call like a keypad, that's a rune. The activation rune. There's no proper AI computing, so you have to build cogitators. Or servitors, which is like, hey, let's take that dead guy with his brain and put some robot parts in it. Now he's a servitor, which is a corpse robot. And you use servitors for all kinds of stuff.
I want to be a floor lucky right now, but I'd be too far away from it. I can't even.
The tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus are fucking everywhere. You can take them as extras in, I think, most armies. There are even tech priest type space marines, tech marines. They go all kinds of places, but they also have their own forces, the Skitari, who are like cyborged up soldiers with like Gauss rifles and radium guns, because they're mostly cyborg anyway, so they don't give a fuck.
Bro, Robin, from my understanding, it's heresy unless someone else says it's not heresy, then it's completely fucking fine to use, even if it was originally heresy.
Hey, no, the human form is sacred, so it's okay. That's why there's so many skulls on everything. The human body is the sacred shape, so thus we cannot build fake humans, but we can weaponize this dead human. That's okay. Mechanicus approved. Shocking nobody. Go ahead, Lucky.
Just how angry were creators are like, I'm gonna write this.
I don't know. So 40K probably started as a parody, maybe, or was a parody in the middle, but it's very hard to tell what is trying to poke fun at, like, because these guys are British. I'm sure they've dealt with British Office bullshit, or that kind of deadpan stuff. The Office was originally a British show, for instance. Where like some asshole being like, "Hey, you haven't filled out the form. That's not okay." And they're like, "Man, what if filling out the form was like, if I didn't fill out the form right, they just shot you? Because that's what it feels like. You have filled out this form incorrectly, guardsman. Heresy. Blam." There you go. There's 40K. Like, the Adeptus Mechanicus are just like, what if we had a dark age of technology and all technology was mysteries? And that explains why nothing ever changes in 10,000 years. Because it's heresy. Now, this should shock nobody, but there are, in fact, they're called the Dark Mechanicus. They're not necessarily chaotic, though also, yes, they will make demon engines and other weird chaos-powered tech shit. But some of them are just some tech heretics, or heretics, if you will, are just like, dude, I just wanted the coffee machine to make coffee like 5 minutes faster. Fuck. So, the Mechanics is in a really weird place where they are a cult which is attached to the Imperium of Man, and they're important because they build all the tech and design everything and do all the maintenance. And they tell you that if your gun jams, to do the litany of reloading to appease the machine spirit and apply the sacred machine oil, and also maybe, to work the bolt a little bit. Like, it's all kinds of bullshit. So that's the mechanical cult. There's another big deal, though, because we haven't talked about one of my favorite factions yet. So, there's the Ecclesiarchy, right? There's a literal Church of Man, or Church of the God Emperor, the human church. Okay. He is a god, he's the coolest, all other gods are pretenders, punch him in the face. Even though we don't talk about chaos. That's why I use the joke Coas. That's from Emperor TTS, because all of their tech automatically censors the word chaos, so they had to come up with an abbreviation, Coas. Also, it's funny. But, so, the Ecclesiarchy, they're kind of a big deal politically. They're on an equal footing with the Inquisition and the Astra Militarum and all that fun stuff. So in the past, there was a guy called Gog Van Dyer. That's right, Gog Van Dyer. Goge space Vandire.
Sounds appropriate.
Mm-hmm. He was a bad guy, and he seized power because he was the head of the Ecclesiarchy, but also was the steward of Terra or something. Because obviously there's the Imperial Palace on the planet Terra, which is covered in gold and shit, and all the most important people live there. The High Lords of Terra, who run shit, while the Emperor's off taking his toilet nap. Don't worry, he'll be back someday. I'm sure. One of these days, he's just gonna climb off that golden throne, and he's gonna slap the shit out of everybody, and it's all gonna be fine. It's great.
But they're keeping him in stasis!
Never mind that people run into his weird, fractured psyche wandering around the warp, doing weird miracle shit. Anyway, so, Gog Van Dyer was a bad guy, and he really fucked up the political system. So after they had him assassinated, kind of, they actually had his own bodyguards killed, but we're going to talk about them in a second. It was ruled that the Ecclesiarchy could not have men under arms. They could not raise their own military force. It's called the Decree Passive. But somebody realized there's a little tiny loophole, and if the Ecclesiarchy can't defend themselves, they're probably going to get steamrolled, so we let them have it. Where they don't have men under arms, they have ladies. The Sisters of Battle, the Adepta Sororitas. So these were actually Gog Van Dyer's bodyguards, the brides of the Emperor, who were like a super ultra fanatical cult. They took their leader to go see old Big Emps on the throne, and nobody's really sure what happened with her, but after she saw our favorite skeleton guy, she just walked out of that room and cut off Van Dyer's head. Just took care of that right away.
It's your boy.
It's your boy, Big Emps. Dropping them skull facts.
By the way, I did start watching TTS because it is entertaining. I just have no idea because it by itself is actually just pretty goddamn funny.
Yeah, it's really well made, but once you actually understand what some of this bullshit shit they're referencing, it's also even funnier. Because I'm going to talk about Custodes in a little bit. But so, Sisters of Battle. So, the Ecclesiarchy realizes, well, we can't have dudes, but we can have ladies, and we've got all these weird militarized cultists flying around. So, Adepta Sororitas. Now referred to as daughters of the Emperor, because the brides thing was a little weird. Though, at some point in the lore, the Emperor did have physical descendants. They were called the Senseis for some reason, and they were, like, super psychic.
The what? What were they called?
The Senseis, as in the Japanese word sensei. Because we have no inspiration whatsoever. Don't worry, they wrote them out of the lore. They're all gone now. Nobody talks about Sensei anymore. But they were the Emperor's physical descendants. They were physically his children, as opposed to the Primarchs who were like clone biomod children. But the Inquisition thought they were heretical, and so was hunting them all down, and then they all fucked off somewhere. They went to the same place that Squats and Malau went.
So they thought that the Emperor's own brood was heresy.
Yeah, because the Emperor didn't say he boned anybody. How dare you suggest as such? He didn't tell us that. Never mind that he hasn't spoken in like 10,000 years because he's a skeleton on the throne.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Listen, the Inquisition is very dumb, but very trigger-happy. Anyway, so the Sisters of Battle were formed, and a lot of people joke that they're the quote-unquote female Space Marines because they're armed with power armor, not as big as the Space Marine powered armor, obviously, but they have powered armor, they have bolters, they also have a certain affection for fire. They are very well known for the use of the flamer and the melta weapons. Not melter, melta with an A, which don't make any fucking sense. They're just heat guns. They, introduce subatomic energy so things heat up, even though whatever. Metal. It's super metal. They make you melt. Melta guns. So the sisters love the purifying power of fire, and they have powered armor. And they don't have cybernetic enhancements and shit. They're just powered by pure faith. Literally, They have so much faith in the Emperor, they sometimes do miraculous bullshit. Attacks may literally miss them. Demons may literally fuck off meeting a sister because she's just that horny for the Emperor.
That is baller?
Sometimes they get back up after they've been killed. Just because they believe that hard. I am not dead, you are dead, heretic.
Lucky does approve of big horny energy.
They don't phrase it that way, but I'm like, nah, dude, they used to be called the brides for the Emperor. They just have huge Emperor boners, and it's just keeping them alive. They're so angry and so horny.
Race boners.
So I like the sisters because, one, I love fire, and two, I actually appreciate this kind of style of unit or faction where they make up for the fact that they're completely normal by the fact that they literally believe so hard in their cause, stuff happens. You could argue they've got a lot of the Jeanne d'Arc type thing going on because their symbol is the fleur-de-lis.
Oh,
and they have a lot of martyrs. In fact, one of their orders is literally called the Order of the Martyred Lady, I think. So they have all the special units like Space Marines. They have heavy weapons sisters. They have sisters with jetpacks. They have sisters who focus in close combat. They have sisters Repentia because if you fuck up as a sister of battle, they cut your hair and take away your power armor and wrap you just in purity seals and give you a giant fuck off chainsword and say, okay, you're going to charge into the enemy now, and that'll be your repentance. So sisters Repentia are half-naked, giant sword-wielding sisters with
I am intrigued
muscles.
by this. I am intrigued by this on a level you do not understand. Actually, no, I take that back. You probably perfectly understand, Omega.
So let's see. Let me see if I can find some good art of the sisters Repentia.
I am already Googling Repentia. Oh, well, I found the miniature. Oh, yeah. Oh my.
Yeah, so their whole deal is just, hey, we took away all your guns and your armor. Run into the enemy. We've given you a giant sword.
Oh my, look at this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of people have some fun with the Sisters Repentia. Oh, and so we mentioned earlier that they believe really hard in the Emperor, right? And then the Emperor is kind of fucking around in the warp sometimes. So primarily you see with Sisters of Battle, they can also be in other units. And with Sisters, you can employ non-militant ecclesiarchy, so you can have preachers and just civilian crusaders out with them. But they also have what are called Imperial Saints, because sometimes when somebody who's very faithful to the Emperor dies, they may see the Emperor in a vision and come back to life with holy powers. Namely, the biggest one I think right now in the lore is Saint Celestine, who is a Sister of Battle who keeps coming back from the dead to punch more heretics. So yeah, the Emperor may be a corpse, but also he may actually kind of be a god because people keep worshipping him. This is kind of, though, once you take into account the ecclesiarchy and the sisters, the Inquisition, and the whole saints thing, this is where you really see the whole Catholic space Nazis thing, which is a common joke about the Imperium.
Omega, when we consolidate, we're going to buy some fucking Sister of Battles minis.
Okay, sure. I have seen some great paint jobs where they paint the legs so it looks like they're wearing thigh highs.
This is amazing.
But yeah, so sisters are real fun. And like I said, many people consider them to be the quote-unquote female Space Marines because they're ladies in power armor who murder things really hard, and they constantly yell about for the Emperor. So there's only a couple more Imperium factions, so we'll hit them pretty quick. There's the Adeptus Custodes. So remember how I told you the Emperor made super soldiers to reconquer all of mankind's space and unite humanity and stuff, and those were the Space Marines?
Yeah.
He made even super soldiers to be his personal bros and army. The Adeptus Custodes, the Custodians. They wear all gold. They're even taller and more specialer than Space Marines, but not as tall and as specialer as Primarchs, because Primarchs are fucking huge. Especially those Primarchs who fell to chaos and turned into literal daemons. Now they can be as huge as they like. Actually, I think some of the demon Primarchs were actually used in the quote-unquote epic scale, which is where the focus is on big vehicles, where so an individual soldier is the size of your thumbnail, kind of.
Oh, okay.
So there are literal giant demon forms of some of these Primarchs. But anyway, so the Primarchs are super huge. Custodes are slightly less huge. They're not made through gene or implantation. They're made through what is called biomancy, which is basically they're upgraded at birth into Custodes.
Okay.
They can probably be ladies, but the Emperor, I'm sure, thinks girls are gross, so they're all dudes, I'm sure. Don't worry, they have a sub-faction for ladies who also are well gold and are super special. We'll talk about them in a second. But basically, the Adeptus Custodes are the Emperor's personal bodyguards, his personal fighting force. They traveled with him while he was out crusading. They defend the Imperial Palace. Now, for a while, as if you're familiar with the Fabstodes from Emperor TTS, yes, canonically in the lore, after the Emperor was mortally wounded, as penance, they ditched all their shiny, super special, bestest war gear and just ran around in nothing but loincloths and their helmets for a while. That is actual canonical old lore. And in fact, the new Custodes models and army only happened after Emperor TTS started coming out, and we know that some Games Workshop writers watch the series, so it is commonly believed that whether or not it was to stop the jokes or just because they realized, oh shit, we haven't changed this lore in 20 years, a lot of people reckon that because of the Naked Custodes jokes, that is why Games Workshop decided to get off their butts and actually make them a whole army that does different stuff and are actually clothed in armor.
Oh my god.
So
it's
that's
good to be aware.
Thing. What's up?
Oh no, I'm just saying it's good to be aware of your fandom, I guess.
So accompanying the Adeptus Custodes sometimes are the Sisters of Silence. I don't know why everybody's sisters. These are ladies who don't speak, probably, and all have the same weird ponytail haircut that I don't understand why. It's not really that flattering. Oh, let me pull up a Sisters of Silence.
I'm about to say, I like ponytails usually.
Yeah, but it's the weird top-of-the-head ponytail thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I don't like that.
This is one in armor. And I believe, because some of them aren't wearing a full helmet, they just have their weird, almost bald head with that plume. So that's literally her hair coming out of the top.
And she's bald for... Okay, that's weird.
So, yeah. So the Sisters of Silence, though, are Imperial witch hunters who hang out with the Custodes. And they're psychers, but they also hunt psychers, and they defend the Imperial Palace from psychic stuff. So they're just kind of a bonus faction that you can include with Custodes and other armies.
Okay.
But they're girls who wear gold armor and do bullshit psychic stuff. There's also the Imperial Knights, I guess. I don't really get this as a faction or a line, but I think they've been in the lore a long time and they've only had playable models recently, but they're basically Imperials and giant robots.
Giant robots are cool.
I don't they have a lot of backstory and a lot of stuff in the background, but they're just, and you can use them with AdMech or with regular Imperial Guard forces. They look kind of cool, but I'm just I'm including them for the sake of completion because I don't really they're as a playable unit newer and I don't really understand what all they're about. But yeah, they're giant robot platforms that there's some guys running that thing.
Because mechs.
So throughout this, we've kind of mostly talked about Imperium, and we've covered most of the bases with Chaos. At various points, I should point out there's one Renegade Knight model, so there are also Chaos Knights. And there have been a standalone faction of Renegades and Heretics, which are basically traitor guardsmen. I don't think they're supported right now, but they've been rules in the past. So that's kind of the crux of the conflict. Started really with Imperium versus Chaos, kind of. And in fact, there's a version of the game called... I think it's just called the Horus Heresy, or is it called 30K, which is just factions and units from the Horus Heresy, which is just humans versus chaos. But let's talk about the Filthy Xeno.
Oh, God.
So there's aliens in this universe. And I'm only talking about the major playable aliens. There's lots of little minor alien races. There are the Jokero, who are space orangutans who make cool guns for some reason.
Why not? Why the fuck not?
There's a couple of minor races affiliated with different things. They're the Zotes, who are weird lizard centaurs who work with Tyranids, and I don't know why. It's
lizard centaurs.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull up a Zote model.
Why did I feel like they said, all right, we have two things, smash them together, boom, new thing?
Possibly. They may, in fact, have a dartboard. But, yeah, there's a Zote.
Interesting.
So they've gotten new models recently, but I don't know what the fuck they do. So we're not going to talk about them. We're going to talk about the big ones. So let's talk about the Eldar, or the Eldari, because that's has extra vowels in it so you can copyright it. So, way in the super back of time, there was these guys called the Old Ones who looked like frog people, but then became energy beings. when they did this, another race came around, the Eldar, because the old ones all fucked up to be energy guys. They've been around a long time. They've been slowly picking up the pieces. They have a lot more psychers than humans, but not necessarily as powerful. They got like low-level psychic powers. They used to reproduce pretty fast. So they did a lot of fucking. And they spread to a lot of places. They had a lot of advanced technology. They have a thing called the Webway, which is another extra-dimensional bullshit thing, but they can use it to basically travel interdimensionally without fucking with the warp, which is cool. But they, right about the time humans were starting to get off the ground in terms of space travel, they had a big fancy empire. And they did what all big fancy empires do. They got decadent.
Oh, shit.
So they started doing a lot of sex and drugs and rock and roll. Now, Lucky, this may remind you of something. And in fact, yes, the Eldar sexed, drugged, and rock and rolled so hard, they created Slaanesh, a new chaos god.
Okay.
Which Slaanesh proceeded to punch out most of their gods, because they had regular gods. Now most of them are dead. Though, funny enough, the laughing god got away, so he's still wandering around chuckling it up. And their goddess of life got kidnapped by Nurgle, and now he tests all of his gross plagues on her, which is really sad. It's okay, though. She whispers the cures to his diseases to the minds of mortals. And their war god got punched into 1,000 pieces. Sometimes he shows up if you give him a blood sacrifice. His avatars will show up and punch shit, but mostly he's a dead guy. Kind of familiar. Anyway, so Slaanesh killed all their gods and slurped up most of their souls. And now, anytime an Eldar dies, normally Slaanesh gets dibs. Slaanesh will automatically eat your soul. So, to combat this, there's a couple different factions of Eldar which have formed. So, the normal-ass Eldar, the literal space elves, are called Craftworld Eldar, because they had these giant floating planet ships, basically, the Craftworlds. So, they have this technology called Spirit Stones, which is a rock that you put in your armor chest plate, and if you die, your soul goes into the Soul Stone. Slaanesh doesn't get it. And they plug you into the Infinity Circuit back on their craft world, which is basically like computer Spirit Stone heaven. They have a little pocket afterlife they can plug you into so you don't have to get your soul eaten. It's really nice, but Eldar are very upset if you steal soul stones or fuck with Infinity Circuits. Makes them very mad. So most of the Eldar are dead, and most that aren't are wandering around in this semi-nomadic craft world existence. Eldars are, like, arguably in this weird fascist self-parody setting. The Imperium are kind of the good guys, maybe? Like, they could probably be okay with a little bit of unfucking. And honestly, while they're definitely transhuman, a lot of Space Marine chapters are at least positively mentalitied. Space Wolves and Salamanders, for instance, are infamous or famous for being very kind to civilians, avoiding collateral damage, that kind of stuff. And then there are some Space Marine chapters, like the Marines Malevolent, who go out of their way to cause extra collateral damage, I guess, because that's more metal. And somehow these guys aren't Chaos Space Marines. Don't ask me how that fucking works. Hold on, Omega has to take a big drink of water. He's been talking a lot. I don't know if that came across on my mic.
So, I was listening to you making commentary, but you probably didn't hear me, so goddamn that.
That's okay. I was talking about Eldar stuff. I got briefly distracted by mentioning how there are some Space Marines who are fucking dumb, like the Marines Malevolent. Anyway, so the Eldar...
No, the thing I wanted to mention first is, like, it seems like half of this setting is it makes no goddamn sense, but we're just gonna fucking roll with it.
Pretty much. So, I was saying that, well, obviously everything is grimdark, because that's how the setting builds itself. The Imperium, I mean, they're at least humans, so you can kind of support them, and you can see how maybe if Big E wasn't stuck on his chair, shit would be better? ?
You can punch some of these fools. I'll tell you that much.
The Craftworld Eldar are also another kind of situation where it's like, they're space elves, so they are mysterious and aloof and hoity-toity, and they aren't above murdering Monkey. That's right, they literally call us monkeys. How's that for originality? They're not above all that stuff, but they're also really against chaos, because Slaanesh is kind of eating them all the time.
Yeah, what happens when Slaanesh gets their souls? He just fucking...
You die the forever death, and or are thrown into eternal torment. I don't remember if it's clear. I think it's just you forever die, or possibly you, like, go to hell kind of die. I'm not sure. Maybe both. Maybe Slaanesh gets to bask you in hellish tortures and then eat you later after you've marinated.
Well, that is just peachy fucking keen.
So the Eldar have the whole dying race doomed to eternal torment thing going on.
That's definitely grimdark.
In the who can be the saddest competition. So the Craft World Eldar, their big thing is that they have what they call aspects. They have a very regimented society. They got to keep everything under wraps and under control because this is the race that spawned Slaanesh. So they have very regimented lives, and their aspect warriors dedicate themselves to a single path. So, like, if you're an Eldar sniper mini, that guy has lived possibly hundreds of years focusing on being a really good sniper. The Banshees, is it Screaming Banshees? Let me pull them up. The Howling Banshee, that's right. They are super dedicated to close quarters combat. And are mostly female, but that might just be the armor. It's not sure. Also, they're space elves. It's hard to tell sometimes. But they're really dedicated to their tasks. They do a lot of different stuff. But they're kind of part of a grand plan, hopefully, to get back at Chaos and figure out a way for Slaanesh not to eat them all. Because that's very important. So like I said, Eldar are not above fucking over humans, and they get very upset with us because we have no idea what the fuck's going on in the greater galaxy and we're just bumbling through shit. But they're also not above helping us out if it also means they get what they want. Now, recently, there's kind of a sub-faction of the Eldar called the Ynnari who've awoken because they've got a prophecy that someday they're going to create the Eldar God of the Dead, and the Eldar Dead God is going to punch out Slaanesh. But the God of Death might also only be born after all the Eldar die. We're not sure. Anyway, it kind of got like half born in the meta plot or something, so now there's followers of Ynnari wandering around doing their own thing.
Huh.
So there's kind of that. But the reason why there might be multiple factions of Eldar is because regular Eldar are high elves, basically. Then there are Dark Eldar, aka Drukhari. There is a great speech in a later episode of Emperor TTS which lists off their weapons. I can't do it from heart, but they go through the big long list, including things like Tormentors, Horrifexes, Terrafexes, Dark Lances, Alien Totems, Fear Maskers, all this bullshit. Terror Helms. That's the Dark Eldar, the Dark Elves.
How
edgy are they? Very.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna Dark Eldar. These guys are a thing. Where's a good one? Where's a good Dark Eldar picture? Let me get some multi-minis. It's these guys. Look how spiky they are. Look at how many edges they have.
Oh my god, if the fucking spikes didn't impale me, I would cut myself on that edge.
So, here's the thing about the Drukhari. They basically saw this whole Slaanesh thing and go, okay, so she who thirsts is going to eat all of us. What if we just fed Slaanesh all the best snacks before we died, so maybe she doesn't feel so much like eating us? They're not, strictly speaking, Chaos Eldar, but they definitely do lots of things that Chaos likes. So, Dark Eldar are kidnappers and slavers. They will torture the shit out of you. They'll make you fight blood sports in their horrible arena. All of their weapons are all about causing pain and suffering for no goddamn reason. They have a lot of sex, a lot of drugs, and a lot of rock and roll. And in general, they are shitty sweat goblin dark elves.
Wait, you say sweat goblins?
Yes, that's a TTS joke. The Emperor calls them sweat goblins. Because he doesn't like them very much. Because they're assholes. And they're assholes for no goddamn reason. Like, literally, they have built their entire ethos to be, what if I was just a giant space asshole? Maybe my asshole space god wouldn't eat my soul. So
wasn't being a giant space asshole what got you a fucking giant asshole god in the first place?
Yes, correct. But they didn't want to change. So their plan is basically throw everyone in the universe under the bus so that when they eventually meet Slaanesh, they aren't fucked over. And some of them, they have, like, they also have a lot of special methods to, like, live forever and to come back from the dead, basically. So, like, I didn't actually die. I'm like a dark elf space lich. So Slaanesh didn't get my soul. So, yeah. Drukhari are raiders, pirates, banditos, and just absolute shitlords. They're probably popular among certain players who love the extra edges and possibly cut themselves on those models. Holy shit. They look so pointy. But they are in setting, they are not very popular because they are just a giant assholes. There also used to be the Exodite Eldar, which if regular Eldar are space high elves and Drukhari are space dark elves, Exodites were space wood elves. They were like weird space primitive nomads who like shot bows at people. And they also used to ride dinosaurs because space elves riding dinosaurs was cool, but I don't believe Games Workshop supports that faction anymore, sadly. You can probably still find the models, though. Hold on. I'm Googling. Yeah, they got a couple. Hold on, let me pull up an old image. Let me copy and paste it. Because I think, yeah, Lucky partially ghosted there. Ooh, his image is taking a while to upload, huh? Don't worry. Editing will cut out all the awkward silence in there while I waited for this. Yeah. That's a space elf riding a dinosaur. And it's called a Dragon Rider. I don't know why they still don't support this. Maybe not enough people bought them. Who knows?
I guess, but I'm just... What is the... I just want to know, like, these Games Workshop's like design process.
I gotta be honest, I don't know if anybody knows. Because even some of the fans are like, what the fuck is happening here?
Like, because, like, when honestly, I didn't know much about 40K. I really don't. Like, now I do, but at the same time, I still, like, I really fucking don't. It's like my head is literally just filled with fuck right now.
So you've been hanging out with a Drukhari. Though I will say, I think it's it's like one of their extra special high-end models. But let me see if I can find it. There is a what are they called? An Archon? Where's that really cool model?
By the way, fucking, what's our mission clock at?
We are only at like 2 hours 20 minutes.
Oh jeez,
this is only taking an hour.
Oh my god, it really feels like longer.
I know it does. I had to check the clock too, and just be like, "How long have we been going?" Oh, it's only been like an hour.
Oh, this has been an info dub that I'm not sure I'm walking out away saying from.
Oh, I can't find a picture of it. There is an Archon model that I think is community made that you put a Dark Eldar Archon, which is like one of their big boss warlord units, on like a throne, and they can have slaves attached, and you can make your Archon male or female and make the human slaves male or female. So you could have pretty boy male Drukhari Archon with big Bara dude slaves, or the reverse, and it's pretty entertaining looking at it, because that's kind of like, they do a lot of monopose stuff still, but they do have some customization for some stuff, so it's kind of, that I think is part of where the appeal of this long term is, that there's just so much lore bullshit and fluff stuff that you can really have a lot of fun if you just kind of, if you're not too serious about the lore and you kind of pick and choose, you can have a lot more fun. Or you can just play our next faction, our next Xenos race, Orcs. They's the biggest and the strongest, and they talk like this all the time. They're very cockney. And in the 80s, because British punk was that way, they were a little bit Nazi, but we took that away and fixed that, because that's problematic in this day and age. I'm not kidding. There used to be orcs dressed like SS officers and wearing, like, Piccolo Prussian helmets and shit. But then that stopped being okay, so orcs stopped doing that. Because that's literally what British punk culture was at the time. So, orcs. They're space orcs, but they have a K, not a C. Mm-hmm. So, remember those old ones I mentioned? They may have biologically engineered the Quirks at the time, but they lost the K and became orcs, to be a living weapon system, basically. Okay. So, orcs are technically a fungus.
How?
They reproduce by spores, and when they get enough of these spores, full-grown boys, as they're called, just pop out, ready what's the word they use? Ready for a tussle. Ready for a... they got a lot of words. They got a lot of orc lingo.
So what are they called? Like orc boys or something?
Yeah, they're just orc boys.
Oh my god.
With a Z.
With a Z!
Yes. And that's how they are. Generic ones are just war boys. There are also biker boys. There's mech boys. There's weird boys.
Weird boys? What the fuck is a weird boy?
So all orcs are low-level psychic. That's literally how their powers work. They are powered by belief. Orcs literally believe that things that are red go faster. Therefore, if you paint a model red, you can apply a special rule. The red ones literally go faster. Orcs believe that purple is stealthy, which means that an orc who's painted his face purple is literally stealthier, despite the fact that purple isn't that stealthy at all. It's weird, okay? Their guns probably only work because they believe they can fire them. And boy howdy do orcs love Daka. Never enough Daka. More Daka, boys. That's what the orcs are all about. They have ridiculous shooters and choppers and all these fun stuff. They have big, gribbly power claws. If they get big enough, they get iron jaws bolted on. They're crazy. They're crazy boys, orcs. But a weird boy is basically... So, orcs are all low-level psychic. Well, imagine if an orc had a psyker. Like, they had a psychic who can do normal-ass psychic powers. That's what a weird boy is. Sometimes his powers don't work. They do weird shit. I think at one point there was a weird boy with the power to turn enemy models into a squig, which squig is an orcish word for squiggly thing, which is basically any animal in the orcish ecosystem. There are squigs that clean things. There's squigs you can eat. There's squigs that yell when they see things. There are alarm squigs. Oh, and there are also bomb squigs, which are squigs you tie bombs to and send running towards the enemy. Because orcs are not terrifying enough. BT dubs. Orcs are, out of game, generally considered to be a pretty funny, fun army. There are a lot of jokes, a lot of references. They're very meta. They got a lot of fun quotes and stuff. In universe, everybody thinks orcs are terrifying. Because they're crazy and stupid, but they're huge and they'll kick your shit in. Orcs, by the way, literally never stop growing. Orcs can get super huge. Because their rank system is based entirely on hugeness and strongness. So, if you punch out all the orcs in your group and become the boss, you literally are the hugest orc. If you're not already, you'll grow to be huge. And if you punch other bosses and become maybe a war boss, maybe you'll grow to be even huger. It's crazy. Orcs love dawa, which is their way of saying war, really Cockney. And they just go places to fight wars because orcs are literally made for fighting. They also have Gretchen, which are space goblins, which are like little stubbly orcs who are just part of their ecosystem. I don't really know what they do, but they're small and squishy. And sometimes they put them in robots called Killicans. Actually, that means I missed that earlier. I should have mentioned, hey, you know Space Marines?
Yeah.
They're cool. They live a long time. If you're a Space Marine and you almost die, they might put you in a tomb robot called a Revered Dreadnought so you can continue to kill stuff even after you can't technically walk around anymore. Which is pretty baller, except also you're a tomb robot. The orcish version of that is Killicans, which is they literally plug a Gretchen into a killing robot with saw blades and shit, and they have them fight stuff. Which, by the way, Killican is spelled with an A at the end and with a K for can. Because orcs. Speaking orcish is basically speaking English very Cockney. Yeah, they're very fighty to Gretchen. There's a Killican. Or some Killicans. Look at it. They have missiles and saw blades and shit. Flamethrowers.
And they're red, so clearly they go fast.
Yeah. So, orcs are crazy, and that's why people like them. But that's really all they got. All they got is they exist to fight. They're huge. They use teeth as currency, because an orc will regrow all his teeth, but eventually they biodegrade. So technically they have a stable economy of teeth. With an F. And they have names like Big Green or the Beast, but mostly Gob Smash Kill Thruster, Stompy Gitza, Black Tooth. What's the current new guy they related? Oh yeah, it's Grazkul Fraka. So they're great. People like them.
Well, I can see how they're entertaining. They're entertaining, but at the same time, honestly, I think the orcs probably make the most sense out of all the rest of these fuckers.
Honestly, in a way they do, because once you take into account that they're a weapon system.
Yeah.
The fact that they're so weird and war oriented makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So during the Great Crusade, mankind had to fight a lot of orcs. That's probably why Space Marines exist, so that you could a Space Marine can go toe to toe with an orc. And Imperial Guardsmen, you probably want to outnumber them like squad to one, which is bad, because where there's one orc, there's usually a lot. But that's orcs. And those, I think, are mostly the classical factions. So we're going to talk about some newer Xenos.
Actually,
go ahead.
Actually, Omega, can we actually, I don't want to, stop your roll here, but I think I'm going to have to be calling it here pretty soon. That's what I was asking about the mission clock.
There's only a couple left. We can probably power through them.
Okay,
there's literally 3 factions left, and we can go through pretty fast. So first up, there's the Tau.
The Tau.
Now, most people are not sure exactly. The common assumption is that the Tau are either made to appeal to more, to make the game appeal more to players in Asia, or to appeal to weebs in the West. So the Tau are blue space aliens, who have an elemental theme. They have different castes, which are all fire, water, earth, ethereal is their super special one. They're a very shooty army. They have, like, special guns and armor. They have a lot of drones. They're all about drones, and drones. They have shield drones and sensor drones and stuff. Here's some default pictures of their infantrymen. But the other big thing Tau are known for, besides they have a sleeker, higher tech look. They're known for two things. One, they believe in something called the greater good. The greater good. Which goes exactly about how you think it is. They have basically, a lot of people joke they have space communism. The Tau are divided into a caste system. They work for the quote-unquote greater good and try to basically come up with the best way to do things so that everybody has a good time, which unfortunately means that they totally suppress the shit out of people who don't believe in the greater good and all kinds of fun stuff. So they have their own secret, totalitarianist shit. But in general, there's a lot of commentary that, like, oh, are they good guys? Are they bad? Who knows? They're filthy Xenos to most of the Imperium, even though they have a lot of interesting tech. A lot of people complain that they're super advanced in tech for being such a new race. They're not like one of the launch races. Because here's the other thing they're known for. Giant fucking robots.
Of course.
So, yeah, that's why people say they're maybe appealing to a more anime-esque crowd. Their primary heavy units are battlesuits of various sizes, which are big, shooty robots. They have missiles and laser guns and rail guns and shit. They're pretty advanced, but like I said, the Tau have a major weakness. They suck at melee. They don't have punchy giant robots. So they are mostly gun lines, and if you get in close, they evaporate. Now, the Tau do have a couple of aliens who work with them, including the Kroot, who are, it's like Groot but with a K, who are weird bird people. Now, for some reason, I guess the Tau ran into them, but they're using black powder weapons, but they're in space. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, the Kroot have, like, axes and stuff, so they're mercenaries the Tau hired to punch people and shoot black powder guns at them, so that they can have melee units.
Sky pirates, yar!
Yar! The Tau are of mixed popularity. Some people in the community seem to really go for the greater good shtick, but other people are like, these guys are really annoying. Because they're very... I want to say they come off as very sanctimonious in the fluff, because they're always talking about their greater good. But they don't really have any chaos shit yet. Like, they're not super exposed to demons and other weird warp fuckery, so they're a very, like, naive goody-two-shoes race.
Okay.
They do have a special subfaction called the Farsight Enclaves, where one commander, Farsight, basically was like, man, the Ethereals basically mind control us. The Ethereal cast mind control us and make us die for no reason. They suck. I'm going to form my own. And he did. And they're kind of cool. But we're not here to talk about them for length, because, like I said, Lucky needs to wrap up pretty soon.
Yeah.
So that's the Tau in short. Then there's another one you may have heard of, the Tyranids.
Yeah.
So, basically, what if we liked Alien. Can we put xenomorphs in 40K? Yes, we can. That's Tyranids, basically. Tyranids came from outside this galaxy, and they want to eat everything. If it's biomass, they want to eat it. They are an interesting faction in that they are the token insectoid all-organic faction. They don't have vehicles, they just have bigger fucking Tyranids. Their ranged attacks are like, they have weapons called, like, flesh borers as an example, where they literally shoot fucking flesh-eating grubs at you.
Oh, no.
So they get a ranged attack, or they spit acid at you, and shit like that. Like, everything they have is organic. Tyranids are all sub-sentient. They only work because they have synapse creatures. Basically, they have actually intelligent Tyranids running stuff, who report to the Hive Queens of the Hive Fleets, because remember, you're dudes. You have to be able to paint your Tyranids different colors, so they come from different Hive Fleets. Which I believe all the Hive Fleet names are basically by the Imperium, so you get stuff like Hive Fleet Behemoth, and Hive Fleet Leviathan, Hive Fleet Medusa, stuff like that. Because, of course, that's what we're going to name them. So they sound really cool, but Tyranids don't call themselves that. They're a very hordy army, where they just throw horrible, flesh-gribbly monsters at people.
Clearly, I need a Hive Fleet Tiamat. Clearly.
That might actually be one. I don't know.
I'm going to look that up.
Sure, you look that up. That means there's a color scheme.
Yeah.
So I don't know this for sure. If anybody in the community does, let me know. But I've always heard that Tyranids are shockingly popular with girls.
Oh, yeah, let's see. Hive Fleet, Leviathan, Kronos, Kraken, Colossus, Tiamat.
They may have misspelled it.
Let me see here.
They got a lot of Hive Fleets.
Oh, yeah. Tiamat. Let's see. Hive Fleet Tiamat is a Tyranid Hive Fleet sign. Was encountered in M35 and theorized to be a galaxy. Okay. Anyway, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was just saying that I've heard that Tyranids are popular with those few players of 40k who are ladies. I don't know.
Maybe because it seems like the rest of them are just so overwhelmingly male.
It's true. Tyranids are run by Hive Queens.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's also just that ladies like weird, spiny, vaguely penis-shaped monsters. Who knows?
Who knows?
I mean, lucky you and I were talking about putting Sisters of Battle on the table, so we have no legs to stand on.
Yeah, it's true. Honestly, if I was to play, all right, I'm gonna pick. I'd probably pick. I don't know. It seems simple.
So
Lucky doesn't want to think too hard about why he's doing this. I'm like, I just want to eat.
No, that's fair. Tyranids are they're very simplistic, unless you play their subfaction, Gene Stealers. So Gene Stealers used to be their own thing. They were Chaos Demons or their own Xenos race, but basically Gene Stealers do the other part of Alien, where they bite you and they infect you to their side, and then you make more Gene Stealers, who are weird and bald and have psychic powers. But now they're their own army Gene Stealer cults, so they can go through various tiers. So some Gene Stealers look like this.
Oh no!
And actually, here's a better.
That is
terrifying.
terrifying.
Let's go with this one. Let's go with this picture. Others can look more like this, where it's just humans with weird forehead wrinkles, and that guy in the middle is the Patriarch, the Brood Lord. Where basically, if your Gene Stealer cult gets big enough, you get a big, scary psychic Gene Stealer to run it all. And they used to be separate, but they got lumped into Tyranids as basically like, oh, these were the Tyranids' vanguard. They were their saboteurs. So Gene Stealer cults form apocalyptic cults and basically prepare the way for the Tyranids to come and eat your planet. And they're kind of creepy with their whole Gene Stealer, bite you and infect you to their side and stuff. But they are actually their own army these days. And the last big one, or another one, are the Necrons. So a lot of people think that Necrons they're meant to be they're kind of like the space version of the Tomb Kings from 40k, Warhammer Fantasy, I should say. Or it might be the other way around, that they introduced the Tomb Kings to be Fantasy Necron, I'm not sure. But at their start, Necrons are kind of alien Terminators. Like T-800s? They're like that, but alien. They're just big, shiny skeleton robots who don't think, don't feel, and they shoot green lightning shit at you.
Dun 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 dun.
Now, the Necrons have drifted a little. They used to be soulless and automatonic because they were betrayed by the Catan, with a C and an apostrophe tan, who are Cthulhuoid space god things. They, lived in stars and shit. So the Necrons went through some changes in lore, so now they can be a little bit more individualized so that you can have them look different, and man, they have gone hard on the Space Egypt theme.
Oh no.
They have, fucking space pyramids and weird flying space barges. They also really like scythes for some reason. And they have weird gold headdress things. So, Necrons are basically, they used to be a biological race called the Necrontyr. But their planet sucked and was horrible.
Whose planet didn't suck?
I think the Eldar worlds were pretty cool until they accidentally made a chaos god that ate all their souls.
So now it sucks.
Well, so humans find their what they call maiden worlds, which are basically terrifying by the Eldar, and they're like, "Oh, these are great." And then sometimes the Eldar come back and are like, "Oh fuck, what are all these monkey doing on my fucking planet? I left this alone 10,000 years ago, and now there's just a bunch of these assholes in it." But anyway, there's a decent shot of, I think these are more modern Necron minis. So, as you notice, they like green, and they like some gold highlights on their heads. So, the Necron met these things called the Catan, and are like, hey, we can weaponize this because we've decided we hate all sentient life for having it better than us. So, we're gonna sick our weird space god star things on them. But then they realized that that wasn't cool enough, and the Catan kind of fucked them over a little bit, so they were like, oh, hey, we got a plan. We're going to put the Catan in giant living metal bodies. And they did. And then the Catan were like, this sucks. Hey, you know what we realized we want to eat? Your souls. So much like, though technically this is thousands of years before that happened to Yeldar, it's later in the lore. So much like Slaanesh in the future, the Catan decided to eat all the Necron souls. Or at least entrap them in soulless automacon bodies. So they, all the living Necrons here got turned into robot Necrons. So now they're all robot skeletons. But then they fought a great war against the Eldar and the Old Ones and shit. This is why the Old Ones made the Orcs. Orcs were made to fight Necrons, funnily enough. But they decided they were using too much energy, so they went back to sleep. They decided to take a big nap. And now, later, because we had to explain why they exist in the backstory, but why they're only showing up later, because we didn't make them at launch, they've started waking up from their tomb worlds to kill all life again. So sometimes your planet's perfectly fine, and then just suddenly Necrons spring up out of the ground and kill your shit. And surprise! I don't really know. They have different tomb worlds and different tomb lords. The different Necron lords, like Loth mentioned. So they kind of have a different motivations and reasons why they do stuff. But in general, they want to kill living stuff. There's one Necron who wants to collect all the treasures in the galaxy, and he seems like a fun guy. But mostly Necron they run into stuff that's alive, they want to make it dead. So they're a spooky skeleton army in space.
So angry.
Everybody's really angry in 40K. And that's, I believe, all of the currently playable factions, and some that aren't, in 40K. As you can see, in the grimdark futures of the 42nd millennium, there truly is only war. So Lucky's had this whole blah blah brain thing, mostly because I feel like I think I can explain why. Because I have explained the lore to you for a game that is meant to have tiny plastic spacemen fight each other, and only that. All lore literally exists to justify why you can buy more plastic spacemen, paint them, and have them fight on the tabletop. Which is why everything is really bullshit, everybody wants to fight, and nothing ever gets better.
Well, I guess if it sells fucking minis, sure.
That generally seems to be the consensus. Most of the reasons why Games Workshop does stuff is because it sells miniatures. But yeah, that's 40K. Explained probably badly.
Fuck these guys. I'm gonna go buy me some Sisters of Battle minis, I'm gonna make them out fucking Tyranids, and I'm gonna paint them, and I'm gonna say, that doesn't make sense in lore, and I'm like, you don't make sense in lore! And look, he's gonna bounce out. That's what I'm doing! I have declared it. The BootyBlasters are going to be a Sisters of Battle Tyranid hybrid. They're going to be purple.
And honestly, you wouldn't be the first guy to go crazy with conversions.
Fuck this.
Because I'll say this: the 40K community is often very divisive about what's cool. Some people are just like, man, yeah, dude, I fucking love Primaris. Other people are like, no, that's dumb. Why did they make taller Space Marines? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. How did this guy improve on the Emperor's greatest work? Just pointing at some random tech priest guy. But, it's all over the place. And it's funny to see, because Games Workshop has done some stuff over the years where they're clearly like I said, a lot of the name changes are obviously because, hey, guess what? You can't copyright Space Marine. You don't have a good enough basis to trademark that term. It's too generic. So they came up with Adeptus Astartes, and you can't trademark Imperial Guard, so they're Astra Militarum and lots of other dumb names. Sisters of Battle is a little bit different, because technically Adeptus Sororitas there are non-militant sisters. There's Sisters Hospitalier and stuff. There's the Sisters Dialogus, who are just library nerd sisters. Let me pull up a Sister Dialogus picture. There's this thing. So there's non-militant sisters, so the Adeptus Sororitas thing is kind of actually more accurate. But yeah, she's just got a big scroll and a big space speaker, which I guess, judging by that cord, is plugged to a space amp somewhere. This, by the way, isn't even getting into how bullshit all the nomenclature is. The teleportariums, that's how you teleport things, and the orc version is called a teleporta, with an A. There's all kinds of faux Latin, high Gothic bullshit. It's nuts. So, let's see. Now we've been going for about 2:45. Lucky needs to wind down. I also haven't eaten dinner yet so I'm hungry. Now that we've gotten all that out of the way, we did the thing people asked of us. Do we have anything else to wrap up with? Because I think we hit all the big points. We didn't talk about Gacha, but not a lot of stuff's going on other than, I guess, Girls Frontline Theater mode, but I'm still not sure what the fuck I'm doing.
I'm so done with this.
Alright, Lucky's done for the day. Let's wrap up. Hey, if you watch this video on YouTube, be sure to give us a like if you liked us. If you have any comments, Did I miss your faction? Did I explain your faction dumbly? Let me know in the comment section down below. You can also hit us up on our Discord. That link is in the description and on our channel page as always. And of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel for all our latest videos of any variety. Even if you're already subscribed, be sure to hit that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream, such as when Lucky streams Sekiro. That was a thing we talked about an hour and a half ago. And, of course, like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies. You can get the show in audio format right away, as soon as it's done editing. And, yeah, okay, I think that about wraps up everything. So, I'm done now. It's time for a Grimdark Bomb.